Hello, good evening, and welcome to our alternative audio coverage of Manchester City against Arsenal in the FA Cup fourth round. I'm your alternative host, Nicholas Jones, and you are listening to the Commentary Hub. And I'm delighted to have our commentator, and I'm delighted to have with me in the commentary booth Trevor Sports and Paul James. But we're going to start. But we're going to start with you, Trevor. Good evening. Manchester City, 9 out of their last FA Cup matches, even though they're behind Arsenal even though they're behind Arsenal in the league, surely their focus will likely be on the FA Cup.
Well, if you're Arsenal and you're 5 points clear and you've got a genuine shout of winning the championships, what does it matter going out the FA Cup tonight? For Manchester City, well, it's the trophy that's eluded them since 2019. You get the sense Manchester City do have one eye on the Champions League this season. Either way, we could be set up here for a fascinating contest between these two sides that have probably played some of the best football that we've seen in the Premier League this season. But as the old saying goes, anything can happen in the FA Cup.
Yes, it certainly can. And under Pep Guardiola, the Sky Blues have won 13 out of the 16 times they've played. So could a repeat? So could they do it again, possibly tonight?
Well, to be fair, yes, there's every potential for that to take place. You look at the lineups, which we'll go through just before kickoff, but I'm sure you've had a chance to see them. You've got to look at the Arsenal defence, and if you're the likes of Riyad Mahrez and Erling Haaland, you've got to be licking your lips together because I think it's meat and drink for them. But Arsenal got some good attacking players, and let's hope that it's the football favours attacking football this evening, and we have a cracking contest.
Before we go on to the lineups, let's just talk for a moment about Arsenal. They lost to Southampton at this stage last year, so they'll be looking to avoid a repeat performance. But in terms of injuries, they are a pressing concern for their manager Mikel Arteta, as Gabriel Jesus, Reiss Nelson, Mohamed Elneny, Emile Smith-Rowe, and Cedric Soares are on the casualty list, whereas Manchester City is appears to be missing only Phil Foden, and I'm going to bring in Paul James just to get one or two of his pre-match opinions on air. Good evening to you, Paul.
Evening, Nick.
Do you feel as well as I do that the list of injured Arsenal players that I've mentioned just now is a pressing concern for Mikel Arteta?
Yeah, of course. It's an additional game. His priority is going to be in the league. So the injury trouble that he's got now is, and this game coming up is definitely a challenge for him. But I mean, Arsenal have a traditional dominant record over Manchester City in the FA Cup. The last time Manchester City beat Arsenal in the FA Cup was in 1904 in the FA Cup second round, February the 20th. And City won 2-0 that day, 30,000 at the Manor Ground in Plumstead. But I think realistically today, looking at the two sides, I think we might see a comfortable Manchester City victory.
Yes, certainly, and they have scored in every competitive game at home since March last year. So with this game being at the Etihad, they should feel pretty much at home. And Trevor has got the lineups for tonight.
Thank you kindly. Right, so let's go through the lineups that we're going to be seeing. I'll start with the home side today, Manchester City. And in goal for them is Stefan Ortega. The German comes in to play in goal. Rico Lewis, John Stones, Mamo Akajani, and Nathan Aki will make up the back line. Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne and Ilkay Gundogan make up the three-man midfield, alongside a three-man attacking lineup of Riyad Mahrez, Jack Grealish, and Erling Haaland, which between them have scored 44 goals, 31 of which has come from Erling Haaland. For Arsenal in their starting lineup, the American Matt Turner comes in after playing for the USA in the World Cup. Tommy Asu, Rob Holding, Gabriel and Kieran Tierney make up the backline. Granit Xhaka, Thomas Partey, Fabio Vieira are in midfield. Leandro Trossard starts for Arsenal after his signing from Brighton and Hove Albion. He's alongside Bukayo Saka and Eddie Nketiah in the three-man attacking lineup. On the bench for Manchester City, but they've got Edison, Kyle Walker, Ruben Diaz, Calvin Phillips, João Cancelo, Mario Laporte, Julian Alvarez, Bernardo Silva, and Cole Palmer. Definitely a deep bench and can certainly give a lot of sides, particularly Arsenal, for a bit of a worry. As for Arsenal, they've got Aaron Ramsdale, Ben White, Alexander Zinchenko, William Saliba. They've got Jacob Kiwior, Albert Simbi, Lukono, Martin Odegaard, Marquinhos, and Gabriel Martinelli on the bench to call from on this tie, which will not be settled tonight, mind you. And I wonder if both sides may be thinking that as this tie goes on. But there are the match lineups for tonight's game.
Yes, thank you, Trevor. And it will be certainly good to see Ben White appear. Ben White appear from the bench at some point throughout this game, because he's been struggling with his injuries and missing out on the World Cup for England. One other thing I should point out for Manchester City is that they have made the semi-finals consecutively since the 2016-17 season, and as Trevor mentioned, winning the cup only once in the 18-19 season. That's just in this period, mind you. And as for Erling Haaland, he made it 4 hat-tricks for the season in their last match against Wolves. So we're about 3 minutes. So about 3 minutes away from kickoff, and one thing I should also point out, that it's great to have Leandro Trossard starting for Arsenal. So Paul, Trevor, now that he's starting, do you think he'll make more of an impression?
Sorry, Trevor. Go
on, Paul.
Thank you. Yes, I think he's got an opportunity to make an impression in this game. He came off the bench against Manchester United. One thing I am surprised, given Arsenal's injury issues, I'm surprised they didn't start Jakob Kiwior tonight and give him his debut.
No, it certainly doesn't. No, it certainly didn't. And we're also going to get one final word. And also going to get one final word from Mike Hardiman just before we go straight into the action.
Yeah, so it's just regarding Arsenal as well. When you look at this lineup for Arsenal tonight, there's lots of changes there. Players that haven't had any minutes, really at all this season, like some Matt Turner, the likes of Kieran Tierney, Takiro Tomiyasu holding as well. Fabio Vieira. There's a lot of players that haven't had any minutes for Arsenal, and their minutes have been either the League Cup or Europa League. Real test coming up against a really strong Manchester City side, which have only needs to do changes. And obviously, if you look at the players they've got on show, the likes of Riyad Mahrez, Erling Haaland, Jack Grealish, it's going to be a real test for this Arsenal side. And it's all about the likes of Granit Xhaka, Eddie Nketiah, Bukayo Saka, and Thomas Partey stepping up. Gabriel could be in that mix as well, as the experienced players to sort of help guide the rest of them through.
Yes, thank you, Mike. So I can see the players now gathering around so I can see the players now standing at the foot of the tunnel at the Etihad. So I'm now going to hand over to our commentators, Paul James, and first of all, Trevor Sports.
Thank you kindly. The FA Cup is known for its quality games between two sides at the peak of their powers. It's always had the scope for an upset. Here tonight, though, there'll be no upset. These are the 1 and 2 in the Premier League going at it for a place in the 5th round. We really are truly blessed with a fantastic prospect here today. And on some of the lineups, which you've heard about earlier on, you certainly could turn around and say to yourself, well, is this going to be both sides putting 100% of their focus into this match? or would they may have any hope potentially of winning the league? For Arsenal, it's their best opportunity for winning the league in what feels like a generation. For Manchester City, well, this generation only knows winning the league. But for these two sides today, a chance to march forward and to march forward into the fifth round of this cup competition. Just the only cup competition in the world, which is simply known as the Cup. Quite special. Well, alongside me tonight, for the very first time, I'd like to welcome Paul James with us. And Paul, I'd love to have your thoughts and opinion on today's game. How do you see this occurring? Are we going to have a 9-goal thriller?
Um, well, Trevor, I can't really predict a 9-goal thriller. And of course, I wouldn't want to because I'll probably curse it and it'll finish 0-0. But I think what we do have is a lot of attacking talent on display, really by both sides. Kevin De Bruyne, Riyad Mahrez, Jack Grealish, Erling Haaland are all sort of the spark plugs of that Manchester City side. Or pretty much any one of about 6 or 7 players can hurt you on that team. For Arsenal, well, we all know about Bukayo Saka and how good he is. Eddie Nketiah, Trossard has an opportunity to stamp himself well and truly in Mikel Arteta's thoughts for a starting 11. Granit Xhaka has been much improved this season. So it's going to be a very interesting side. Going to be a very interesting game. But I do get the feeling that Haaland is going to really torment that Arsenal defence today.
Well, Erling Haaland, quite an astonishing thing to point out, that in a season that was disrupted 5 weeks for the World Cup, we come to the end of January and he's only got 31 goals to his name so far in his 26th game. Really is on an astonishing run at the moment. And for Arsenal tonight, well, their fantastic performance over Manchester United and that brilliant game that finished 3-2 really was an outstanding contest. Manchester City, though, know all about the troubles of Manchester United. It's a tale of one side that's been able to get past another, but not tonight. For Manchester City, could it be a blue moon for them? For Arsenal, could it be a chance for them to compound their season? A win here and belief will start to run through the camp as Arsenal may think themselves an opportunity to challenge. I can tell you right now that the Etihad today is about as close to full as you can get. It's a cracking atmosphere that we do have. It really is absolutely fantastic. And the FA Cup itself is known for its great atmospheres and its great moments, and you wonder if we will see something like that today. Of course, as it was mentioned there in the beginning of the game, Manchester City, well, they last beat Arsenal back in 1904 in the FA Cup. 2-0 was the score. I don't remember it. But what I do know here today is we could see a real game between two sides that, Paul, have got both very attacking lineups.
Oh, indeed, yes. I can't see it being a 9-goal thriller, but I can see goals coming in this game. Both sides have got players that can hurt the other. So I think for Arsenal, well, there's great hope on the part of these Arsenal fans that they can go on and win the league. And they can stamp a level of confidence on themselves by winning this game, knowing that there's 2 games coming up in the league against Arsenal, against Manchester City, I should say, on February the 15th at Ashburton Grove and back here at the City of Manchester Stadium on April the 26th. So this is a good chance for one side to really gain the momentum.
Paul, if I had to twist your arm, what's your prediction? Who's going to win this match?
Oh boy, I always get these wrong. Okay, well, I'm gonna say Manchester City is going to win, and I actually think they're going to win 3-1.
3-1 is the prediction. Well, folks, if you're joining us here on Trevor Sports, love to know your predictions in the chat. Love to know. We've got Blake asking for us. Colin Rafe is a big Arsenal fan, looking forward as well. The Piers Morgan fake account on the channel says that apparently another player is joining Crystal Palace. Could be a difficult game. Enoch is joining us, watching the game on ITV Live. If you are watching on ITV and you aren't a fan of the commentary team, if they do have Matterface and Dixon, go stick us and stick it on mute and enjoy the game with us today. Seems to be a lot of support for Arsenal in this game, and you can see why they've certainly been a side which well, you've got to go back to the last time they were invincible before they lifted the Premier League trophy. But the FA Cup, that's become a bit of a habit for them. Always seem to have it of producing something quite special. And indeed, Arsenal's lineup tonight does include quite a few former FA Cup winners. I'll go through the lineups again just before we get set for kickoff. A reminder here that Manchester City are lining up with Stefan Ortega in goal for them. Young Rico Lewis, that we saw playing against Chelsea, comes in with John Stones, Memo Akajani, and Nathan Aki. Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne and Ilkay Gundogan make up the midfield. Riyad Mahrez, Jack Grealish, and Erling Haaland are the front three. For Arsenal, they're starting to line up. The American Matt Turner that played in the World Cup for the USA comes in. Tommy Ashu, Rob Holding, Gabriel, and Kieran Tierney are in the back four for Arsenal tonight. There is also Granit Xhaka, Thomas Partey, Fabio Vieira, Lisandro Trossard, Bukayo Saka, and Eddie Nketiah will lead the lineup. And standing over the ball is Nketiah and Partey as we're waiting for the game to get going between these two. And we always have to remember themselves that this has always been a game between two sides that really know how to play their football. And we wonder today, are we about to see it? We're waiting for the countdown and we're underway at the moment. And Arsenal here get us off and underway. They're kicking from right to left, a long ball which is headed away by Rodri straight away. Thomas Partey diving in to win the ball. Early touch at the moment for Holding. Now back to Tierney, and now Gabriel under pressure from Erling Haaland. Back to Turner, who's already had 2 early touches in the game, and he'll definitely feel happier for it at the moment. But so far in the way in which these two games do, an early touch is always important when you feel you're not quite in form. And that has been the case sometimes at the moment between these two sides. Form is everything, and that's certainly an important factor to know. Well, already at the moment, the referee is being surrounded at the moment. Paul Tierney. No relation whatsoever to Kieran Tierney, but straight away we can see Rob Holding just catching Erling Haaland between the two tussling there, Paul.
Yeah, it's Paul Tierney's under for a difficult night tonight. I think it's not an easy game to referee. Is this one?
Well, I think both Tierneys will be under the spotlight, but we'll wait and see whether that becomes to be the deciding factor. As it's back to Ederson, straight away under pressure, sliding in at the moment. And Arsenal's high press, which definitely was a big factor in their victory over Manchester United, the ability to really push and make an impact, certainly had a feature in that. Here's Kieran Tierney with the throw-in. Riyad Mahrez is over. Kevin De Bruyne is across with Rodri. Xhaka is forward at the moment. There is Lisandro Trossard, just trotting past him on the near side, and the throw is back to Trossard. Now it's back to Gabriel. Good touch, and the ball goes back again to Turner again. His third touch in as many moments. Predictions, 2-1 to Arsenal, 3-2 to Arsenal, coming in the chat here on Trevor Sports. So wherever you're listening to us today, JB Sports, Commentary Live. Love to know your thoughts. We'll keep an eye on the chat and we'll be updated today. And we'll go back to the studio at halftime where we'll have the views of well-renowned Stevenage and Arsenal extraordinaire Mike Hardiman alongside Nicholas. And we may even have the views of our great producer, Russ Vernon. But Manchester City have picked the ball up straight to Haaland, playing it back on the edge of the area, 1-on-2 at the moment. And a long strike comes in from Rodri. But he just seemed to lean back and it's a bit languid. And in the end, it's a bit of a damp squid. But nice little touches from Manchester City on the edge of the area.
Yeah, they've started off very, very well, very confident. They seem very relaxed in their approach to Manchester City, but that's usual for them. Patient build-up, and they're all about possession. We know that. So it'll be interesting to see how they test this Arsenal defence.
Well, it's going to be a case of, we know the Manchester City side are going to test them, just a case of whether the Arsenal defence, I think, will hold on. That could be the story of the game. But so far in the opening 3 minutes, Arsenal pressing high, Nketiah putting straight away Ortega under pressure at the moment. Lumball over the top, which is taken by Gundogan. Jack Grealish, first opportunity to run at the moment, forced himself inside. Gabriel was back there. Nathan Ake to pick the ball up for Manchester City. And it's short, sharp touches for the Sky Blues as they look to try and get a foothold in the game. This is Ankajani right on the halfway line. Place it back to number 82, Rico Lewis. Of course, young Rico Lewis at the moment. His father owns a gym and he was inspired by Muhammad Ali as a child. Let's hope that he's got Ali's winning spirit, not necessarily his boxing hands. Although I think those days are very much long gone in the world of football. Here's Trossard up against John Stones, who recently became a dad last week. Trossard again into the area, right-footed. Does he go for goal? Tries to send both for chips. Finds half a yard, crosses into an open space. And on the strike, which is well saved. A really good hit at the moment. Ortega dived over. Tierney with the cross. He loops it in towards the middle of the pitch. Headed away by Stones. Then there's De Bruyne. Xhaka heads it back on. It reaches back to Gabriel. Little touch. Oh, lovely little touch by Trossard. Now Tierney to burst inside. Runs into the trouble in the form of Rodri. Back to Trossard again. Best bit of football from the match so far from Arsenal. Trossard's ball into the far post. And it's a good header away by Nathan Ake. Bukayo Saka was coming in unmarked. And Arsenal's quality on the ball is showing from an attacking standpoint. Here's Thomas Partey. Lovely little touch again. We'll come in 2 seconds. Now it's Xhaka. And it seems to be brought back. And my heavens. Well, that was a quality bit of football there, Paul.
Absolutely outstanding, and what a save by Ortega. The strike from just on the edge of the box there was a goalkeeper. It's a good bit of pressure by Arsenal.
Fantastic bit of pressure between these between the two sides. Well, it was a really good effort and a really good start to the game. Particularly, you do get the sense, though, that in terms of this to be a really good contest, maybe it's the away side that need to score first. Indeed, there was a cup tie in midweek in which the away side scored just before half-time, killed it as a contest. And it's been the story of some of the cup games that we've had on the channel recently. Seem to be over just at the start of the second half. This is the strike again, and it was some hit, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a super strike. But what a good save by Ortega. And he's not had a lot of game time this season for City, of course, but that was a sparkling save.
Well, Tomiyasu has never scored for Arsenal. Must have thought when he connected with that was a real opportunity to open his accounts. But it's not to be in the end, but I'm sure there'll be other opportunities as this game goes on. We've played just over 6 minutes in the contest thus far. And I can tell you right now that the score is Manchester City, Arsenal 0. You're listening to live alternative coverage here of the Premier League. You're listening to live exclusive commentary on the Commentary Hub. And we thank you all very much for joining us today of what has been one of the most standout ties of the weekend in terms of the FA Cup. And the FA Cup's always been a competition which has sort of delivered. But you wonder from here, is this going to be an opportunity for the Cup to continue to build on? This is Gabriel. And now holding under pressure. And now the clearance by Turner. Nice, long, cool, calm, collected clearance by Turner. Predictions on the chat from those and the boys in the studio. Mike says, Hart says 2-1 Arsenal. Head says 3-0 City. And Russ is a confirmation that he believes it's going to be City 2, Arsenal 3. I wonder if we'll have the 4-4, lads. That would be my pick. But it's been a long time since we've seen one of those. There was once a famous season in which you had the 3-4 games in the same season. But anyway, and there is Stones passing it back all the way to Ortega quite comfortably. And Manchester City looking very comfortable when they are on the ball at the moment, Paul.
Yeah, they're looking very comfortable. They're just relaxed. They're just knocking the ball about. For Manchester City, I mean, if you look at the stat last season, for example, they were at 70% possession. Nobody was close to that. No other team in the league was close to that. And this is what they do. They just keep possession. They don't give the ball away, usually. And they build up and they slowly break you down. So it's I expect to see much of that from City today. Arsenal are going to have to be patient and make use of the ball.
Goalkeeper has slid out. Haaland's gone over the top. Oh, just cleared away by Tomiyasu. I'm sorry for interrupting, but suddenly the ball broke through the middle, and suddenly there was Turner coming charging out. He's not played too much for Arsenal this season. Nketiah has been caught by Rodri, and we've got to see a replay of that. What did Turner do here?
Well, it looks like he just slipped up a little bit here, isn't it? And you can see when he comes out for it, he just didn't connect with the ball, and it was an industrious attempt by Haaland with a bicycle kick, but he just didn't connect with the ball. If the goalkeeper comes that far out, it's important. He's got to connect.
It just shows you the quality of Ibrahimovic's famous goal for Sweden against England when he did something very similar, a bicycle kick from that region. Comment seems to be that Turner reacted very quickly and did really well after the mistake. John Greenwood on the chat says 2-1 Manchester City is the prediction. Here's Saka to Partey. Lovely little touch inside. Goes out wide to Saka in again. Nathan Ake is across. Saka's inside. Tomiyasu. He's got 3 goals, 3 players sitting right above him. There is Holding to Gabriel. Pressure on him by Mahrez. Into space, out on the near side is Tierney. Was looking for Trossard. Has found Rodri in a blue shirt for Manchester City to break the ball away. But Arsenal have got all 11 players right in front of him. So he has to play it back to John Stones. Stones under pressure from Trossard. Back to Mahrez, who kicks it against Trossard, and it goes out for a throw-in, which is applauded by Mikel Arteta on the line, certainly appreciating the quality of it took place. 10 minutes gone, we've had a couple of chances. It's turning out to be a promising game. If you're listening to us, don't forget to subscribe and like. If you're listening to us on JB Sports or Commentary Live, please give us a subscription. We've got more of these to bring you as we bring you the world of alternative football coverage throughout the season. If you're listening on Trevor Sports, why haven't you subscribed? Please do so, folks. We're going to continue to bring you more coverage like this. And lovely to get involved in the chat as we go and cover the game. And if you do want to watch the game, please do so. But if you're not a fan of Matterface and Dixon, and let's be honest, who is? Folks, please go ahead, hit mute on your TV, stick us on, give us a listen. Hopefully we'll be able to sync you up and enjoy the game. We're just coming up to 11 minutes gone at the Etihad, touched by Tierney, hoping for Trossard to use his pace, and was just threatening to get past John Stones, who were looking awfully refreshed for a man that became a brand new father not long ago. But Trossard looks to be settling into life at the moment in his new club, having come on. This is Holding all the way back to Turner. Married to an ex-NFL cheerleader, Matt Turner. And he showed NFL-like reactions to come out and block the initial run when Haaland was played through. This is Stefan Ortega for Manchester City. It's a long ball over the top, which is headed by Sterling. Met in the middle as the two collide. Saka comes in, tries to meet the ball, but Gundogan has got it. Back to Ake now, who picks the ball just about a third of the way inside the Manchester City half at the moment as they look to keep the ball. Now it's an opportunity to break and run, and the fans and the roar goes up as Ilkay Gundogan comes charging forward for Manchester City. He goes right the way into the area, passes it back to Grealish. Can Grealish find Haaland? He can't. He can just find Turner. But you wonder in that situation, had it been a case, could Gundogan have gone on? Turner's gone for a long ball at the moment, looking for Nketiah, who's up against Ankajani. It hasn't worked. Manchester City have kept possession. This is Grealish. Nathan Ake. Now it's back to Ankajani, into John Stones to pick the ball up. 0-0 between these two sides, but don't worry. We've still got 90% of the game to go. And hopefully we can see a lot more. Here's Riyad Mahrez from Manchester City, who is their second joint top scorer with 9 goals, equal to the top scorer of Arsenal this evening, which is Eddie Nketiah. So the difference between these two, so you wonder, could be Erling Haaland. Here he is with the chest down. Little exchange of passes looking for Gundogan, but he's given the ball away. Xhaka and Paul Tierney, the referee, has pulled play back for a foul. It looks as if the collision, we'll have to see whom that is. But Gundogan looks to be ever so slightly guilty. We'll have a look and see if he is to blame. Diving in was Fabio Vieira. Was that intentional there, Paul?
It looks like he just caught him. There's not much you can do in that situation. You're both entitled to go for the ball. I would say yes, it's probably a foul, but I don't think it's worthy of anything more than that. Both players going for the ball. Back in the olden days, probably wouldn't have even been pulled up. But in these more modern times, you can see that he kind of barged into him, and that's usually pulled up these days.
I think it certainly would have been allowed to happen in 1904 when the last time Manchester City won. There's a strike by Saka, takes a little deflection in the edge of the box. 2 big mistakes by Rob Holding, picked up by Arsenal extraordinaire Mike Hardiman. Said he could be in for a torrid night if that was the case. But Arsenal looking comfortable with the ball. They've got a throw in inside the Manchester City half. And just drawing the ball there is Tomiyasu. whose fantastic strike was saved by Stefan Ortega. Always strange to say Ortega in a goalkeeping position, having watched the great number 10 for Argentina, Ortega, back in the day. Here's Matt Turner. Lots of early touches. That's a clever little pass inside to Granit Xhaka. Rodri comes across from Manchester City. Ball stays in. Here's Gabriel. But there is a Manchester City press led by Rodri. Back to Turner again. It's a common theme at the moment. And Arsenal, you wonder, do they have anyone that they can go long to? Turner thinks he's going to try it. He finds Saka. Now it's Vieira. Vieira again, back to Saka, but just asked a bit too much of Bukayo Saka. Fabio Vieira, obviously enjoying that Arsenal have got a ready-made chance for him that they can employ and use whenever they see fit. And Nathan Ake with the throw-in. He's going all the way back to Ortega. And it's been a story of goalkeeper, pass, other goalkeeper in the last couple of minutes. I wonder if both teams just settled slightly here, Paul.
Yeah, I think they're just still kind of feeling each other out, aren't they? They're just testing each other, and nobody wants to concede an early goal. So whilst there is still some attacking play, I think both teams are being cautious.
Well, the flag has gone up out on the far side, so Arsenal will have a free kick, an opportunity to play the ball, you feel, into the Manchester City half. 15, we're coming up to nearly 60 minutes gone in this game. Absolutely flown by. It feels a real proper contest. A long ball looking over wide for Tierney. Does get there in the end, looking for Trossard, but there is Mahrez for Manchester City. And I think Rico Lewis has just lost possession. Throw-in is given in Arsenal's favour. And I wonder if they'll think about the long throw, or will it be a case of the short throw, you wonder. Of course, what's old is new. And certainly seen a few more longer throws used in these days. This is Holding. It's been under a bit of pressure at the moment. Haaland certainly is an imposing figure. There goes Turner. Looking for Nketiah, but Nketiah's miles off that, and Kajani can pick that up. There's Rodri. Lewis. Now Stones for Manchester City. Comfortable on the ball, John Stones. Very much an England regular, and playing regularly for Manchester City is only good for England. Keeping out the likes of Ruben Diaz and Maria Laporte out of the side. Young Rico Lewis. Stones again. And Arsenal pressing with Tierney pushing forward against Rico Lewis. You wonder at the moment if that will be the sort of channel that Manchester City would have to worry about themselves down on the left side, which is our near side. Manchester City, of course, in going from left to right. Both teams, no need to change their outfits today. So it's the preferred white shorts of both sides, sky blue top and socks for Manchester City, the red and white top and red socks of Arsenal. This is Stones over the halfway line into the centre circle. Forced back to Ankajani. Nketiah putting in a little bit of pressure. Now it is Nathan Ake. Inside to Grealish, who's forced back and is caught by Tomiyasu. And Grealish doesn't look particularly happy about that. Looks as if he may have hurt himself ever so slightly. For whoever you are who subscribed to Trevor Thoughts, thank you very much. 1,441 as we make our way on the road to 2,000. Thank you kindly for joining in today. So let's see in terms of this contest at the moment where it is going to line itself up. Manchester City, well, they know that their FA Cup has been perhaps one of the trophies they've underperformed in. Famously beaten by Wigan not so many years ago. However, let's also face the fact at the same time that in terms of way this has gone, Arsenal themselves will feel that they've let themselves down in the Premier League in recent time, and the FA Cup's been almost at times for them a little bit of a consolation. Doesn't feel like that today, but then again, that is the nature of the cup at the moment. Post Every Side Beats and News Reviews on the channel says, thought this game would be faster paced than this. Was for the first 5 minutes. The pace certainly has dropped in the last few moments, Paul.
Yeah, it has. Both sides seem to have settled into a slower pace. I can see that there's creativity still trying from both sides, but I think Arsenal when they come forward, they're trying to just open up Manchester City. They're getting the ball down to the wings. I'd like to see them bring Bukayo Saka into the game more. Manchester City generally have a slower, more patient build-up anyway.
Here's Riyad Mahrez picking the ball up straight away. Mahrez inside to Ankajani. Now this is John Stones. Mox TV says, nice shirts. If you're watching me, you can see me, and you can see my nice shirts. But Pep's interview is very interesting. Feels like the World Cup at the moment. I'll remember that. I'll stick on this shirt for the World Cup. Well, the Euros next summer, which I'm sure you'll be joining that with us today. Kieran Tierney, just looking as he's lost possession here, and Riyad Mahrez to throw the ball in. Riyad Mahrez, of course, noticed for his socks as he's worn them from his days at Le Havre and Leicester, where he's one of the few players to win a Premier League at two separate clubs. This is Mahrez, wants to get it on his left foot. He's got it on his left foot now. This is Rico Lewis under pressure from Trossard and plays it back coolly and calmly to Manuel Ankajani, who won the Swiss and German version of the FA Cup in his time. Still yet to win the FA Cup here in England. Of course, the FA Cup is the only competition in the world just simply known as the Cup. Here's Turner. Goes out wide. Tomiyasu, good control on the chest. Runners are ahead of them. One of them is Bukayo Saka, ups Nathan Ake. Grealish comes across. It's left at the moment, and it's come to Fabio Vieira. Now it's Lisandro Trossard up against Lewis. Trossard, good save! Tapped back in at the moment by Vieira, who couldn't find and direct it goalwards. But Arsenal showing some real pressure again that continues. Tierney, Partey, darts away from 1, 2, and nearly 3 Manchester City players. One of them was Erling Haaland. This is Granit Xhaka. Tierney. Arsenal looking comfortable on the ball at the moment. Gabriel. Back now to Holding. Tomiyasu. Saka against Ake. And Saka is worrying Manchester City when he picks the ball up. But Ake's been able to dispossess him and play the ball coolly and calmly away. Here is Jack Grealish at the moment. That's a lovely little ball. If Haaland can get there ahead of Holding, he can't because Turner did really well off the line quickly and cleared it away.
That was great football by Arsenal. This is the second time they broke forward now and has been able to get a clear opportunity on goal and force Ortega into the second great save, this time from Trossard. The shot just drilled towards the left-hand post. It was a good save by the goalkeeper. But I'll tell you what, if Arsenal can just press a little bit more, they might be able to upset this Manchester City team. And they can be exposed defensively.
Well, John Greenwood on the Trevor Sports channel said he saw Ortega play and he stood outside the box half the game. In the game in which Southampton beat Manchester City. Here's Grealish, which is looking to dance on and work his way through. Met by the brick wall of Thomas Partey. And Nketiah against Ankajani. Rodri comes in and defends before Fabio Vieira can pick the ball up. Now it's Stones. And you wonder if, well, after the Arsenal's attack, will that just pick up the pace ever so slightly? There's De Bruyne back to Mahrez. But once again, it's back with Manchester City, who are comfortable with the ball. Arsenal perhaps looking slightly more threatening. Possession itself isn't really split very tightly. Shots on target, though. We are tied at 2 apiece and 1 apiece in respect. No corners so far in the game, but a long way to go. Then again, do you tune into the game to watch a corner? Haaland leaves it. So does Holding. Back to Turner, little touchback. Haaland sprinting back straight away, putting pressure on Holding. Now Turner takes a touch, gets himself into trouble, but he's able to pass his way out of trouble cleverly to find Xhaka. Now it's Tierney against Rico Lewis. And when he looks to play it back towards Xhaka, it's collided against Riyad Mahrez. And there is Mikel Arteta straight away to go ahead and celebrate the good work as the ball boy throws the ball back in of Turner, that's under pressure tonight. So far has shown that he can respond when required. But Rob Holding looks to be under pressure. Whenever he's got the ball, Haaland is right on top of him at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. He's being put under a lot of pressure right now, is Holding. But I have to say that Arsenal defence is doing a good job. Really, Turner has not been forced into too much, apart from chasing down Erling Haaland earlier on. But aside from that, the City haven't really created that much.
Here's Gabriel for Arsenal. And it's 2 very creative sides, you'd have to say. There's Holding. That's not a very creative pass in the end, but can Saka get it? He can't because the flag has gone up for offside. course, VAR will be in effect this evening, being a Premier League ground. And Bukayo Saka really has come onto a real purple patch. Joint top scorer at the World Cup with England, along with Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford, of course, might just be the most informed player at the moment since the World Cup in Europe. That's despite Haaland's hat-tricks. On for player of the season. Is he your player of the season, would you say, so far?
Well, it's very difficult to argue against, isn't it? His goal-scoring ratio has been incredible, and he's definitely helped Manchester City. But I don't know. Bukayo Saka's been outstanding.
I'll have to stop you here. Riyad Mahrez has found himself in the area. Left-footed, comes across, it's blocked. It's cleared only as far as Rodri. Rico Lewis, does he think about the shot? No, he's thinking about playing it to De Bruyne. De Bruyne! Oh, that was nearly an outstanding goal. Moves it onto his left foot, shifts his body, curls it around from distance. Flying off to his right was Matt Turner, and it's just gone a fraction wide. Oh, that was nearly fantastic. And it's the best bit of football Manchester City have played in the game thus far.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what a strike by Kevin De Bruyne. Very unlucky. He's not had his best season as De Bruyne, certainly didn't have his best World Cup, but he's still incredibly talented, incredibly dangerous. And, well, he nearly put City in the lead there.
It was a lovely bit of football there by Kevin De Bruyne, no doubt about it. Really, really got himself into a dangerous area, moved the ball around comfortably. But when it arrived on his left foot, you saw exactly what he wanted to do. Just didn't quite get enough of his foot to wrap round that ball. But what a goal that would have been. It was certainly the best bit of football from Manchester City. Here's Vieira breaking away for Arsenal. Trossard to his left. It's starting to make the game tick at the moment. Up against Lewis. Trossard just catches it running his feet. Here's Tierney. Now it's Trossard again. Lovely little feet from him. Comfortable on the ball, no doubt. Xhaka, Partey. Tierney again for Arsenal. Starting to tick a little bit, the men in red shirts. Trying to play the reverse pass with his wrong foot. Through to Trossard. It's gone out. And it's 0-0. And we played 26 minutes so far in this contest. We're over halfway point of the first half. No goals yet. But there's not to say that we won't see goals at the moment. Although the man from the Seagulls has probably looked the liveliest player on the pitch at the moment in Trossard.
Absolutely. He's been very impressive, hasn't he? I can see why Arsenal were willing to spend so much money on him. He's creating chances and is causing City a little bit of trouble down that left-hand side.
Comments that it's been a good game so far from the chat. And folks, love you to get involved in the chat. If you haven't done so, don't forget to subscribe at Trevor Sports. You can follow me on Twitter at Trevor Sports 90. You can also follow the Commentary Hub on Twitter at Commentary Live 1. And make sure you're subscribed to JB Sports and the Commentary Hub for more instant, fantastic alternative versions of these games. Arteta is just having a little bit of a word. Of course, Arteta was Pep Guardiola's right-hand man at the moment. It's the football equivalent of Luke and Darth Vader playing one another. Then again, would you call that Anakin? Anyway, enough of the Star Wars reference. Let's hope we have a real sort of galactic battle as the rest of this game continues. Tierney goes for a long throw. Nketiah is under pressure, does well to keep it in. Now it's Xhaka. Partey can hit them from there, but he's going to play it out wide to Saka. Lovely little touch. Tomiyasu just threatening on the inside. 2-on-1. Aki and Grealish at the moment up against Saka. But Saka has slipped. Aki plays it away at the moment for Manchester City. Nathan Ake, of course, played in his time 7 appearances for Chelsea between 2012 and 2017 before signing for Bournemouth. And then from there, his arrival to Manchester City. Here he is with the chance to play the ball away. And certainly you can see at the moment, we can see that the Etihad itself, particularly the travelling Arsenal fans, have made a real effort today. And it's actually produced a really good atmosphere. Of course, Arsenal fans, it's a long way up from North London and their neck of the world where they're in. Here's Ankajani from Manchester City. Mahrez. Rico Lewis looking to play for the long ball over the top. That's going to test Holding running up against Haaland. And Holding has got there. Cries of a foul. Referee Paul Tierney is unmoved at the moment. This is Vieira for Arsenal. And referee has pulled play back. And he has played for the foul, I believe. It looks like the linesman on the near side has flagged for the foul on Rob Holding up against Erling Haaland.
Yeah, it just looks like Holding was leaning with his arm a little bit there, connected with the back of the head of Erling Haaland. Probably an accident. I mean, I don't think he went out to deliberately elbow the guy, but it's still a free kick. And just going back to your earlier comment, Trevor, it is nice to see an FA Cup fourth round game with a full stadium and lots of travelling fans. It does add to the atmosphere, doesn't it?
It does indeed. The medics at the moment are just currently checking over Haaland. It's got to be obviously what you have with her CTE injuries and neck injuries and that. They're just completely double checking that he is fine before continuing. It is allowing Mikel Arteta and Pep Guardiola to have a word with their sides. Guardiola and I can see Arteta in particular having a words. Another new subscriber onto Trevor Sports. Thank you very much. 1,442. The road to 2,000 continues. And you may be getting, if we ever get to 2,000, the world's very first drunk stream here on Trevor Sports. But we'll be staying incredibly sober tonight because we really do have an important game. Haaland himself still hasn't moved. Both players are now in respective huddles, almost as if it's the middle of extra time, and they're discussing who's going to be taking those dreaded penalties. Of course, penalties won't be affecting the game today, but chance to talk to the game tactically. But it's not really been, and Haaland looks like he's up. I hope he's not concussed. The quality of player here is. It looks like, the old days, a little bit of magic sponge and a bit of smelling salt, and he'd be off and running. But they're much more advanced than they were in the days gone by. I'm sure way more advanced than 1904. Paul, we've played half an hour. We're a third of the way through this game. What's your thoughts so far?
Well, I think it's been an entertaining game. I think it's been kind of an old-fashioned sort of game, but chances have been a bit of at a premium. I think Arsenal have come the closest to scoring. I think they've the two bits of football that we saw that created the two saves from the goalkeeper was incredibly impressive. I'd like to see Arsenal press a little bit more in this game and put some pressure on that City defence.
Well, that could be the way forward here. The modern game is all about the press, and it's all about how you undo that. You wonder in this situation here who's going to get the better of it. Certainly, though, you wonder itself, is it the sort of game that's going to be settled by a single goal or more? There is Rodri sticking Partey's drop ball, which is uncontested these days. Here's Jack Grealish into Rodri, and Rodri just got right under that and has looped it over Nathan Ake. Arsenal have a throw-in inside the Manchester City half over on the far side. Bukayo Saka to take. A reminder at halftime, we'll go back to Nicholas and the boys in the studio for everything on their views on the halfway point of this contest. And then we'll be with you all the way through the second half here this evening. Live watch-along coverage of Manchester City and Arsenal. FA Cup fourth round. Now here's Trossard. Look lively whenever he's picked the ball up to date. Under pressure, and it looks like Lewis has knocked it out. Early throw, and Nketiah's made the run down the channel up against Ankajani. Here's Nketiah. Little pass looking for Xhaka, but the Manchester City captain, Ilkay Gundogan, has cleared it away. Now it's Rodri. John Stones for Manchester City. Into Grealish. Back to Stefan Ortega, number 18. Nketiah just threatening to test the goalkeeper here. Mahrez loses it out to Tierney. Trossard, lovely little touch by him. Couple of yards of space. Lewis isn't across from him. It's Trossard's ball in. Oh, there was Nketiah diving in at the near post. Tried to go and get his foot round it. Very nearly got his scoring numbers into double digits with this run here.
Brilliant chance. Just not able to direct the foot to knock the ball into the net, but a good chance for Arsenal. And once again, they get inside that City defence.
Yeah, they are, and it's time after time, and definitely there has been some words said at halftime by Mikel Arteta. I wonder if that does feature the game. Gabriel with a high looping head at the moment to Xhaka that plays it to Nketiah, but Nketiah not able to control it, and it's back to Ortega as it's a common theme at the moment. Reminder here that we will have more coverage exclusively live for you in a midweek show here on the Commentary Hub. We've got Deadline Day, a thriller for you. We'll also bring you highlights of what's taking place in the second legs of the Carabao Cups game, but a special TC Hub show. Join Russ and the boys for that one. That could be a wonderful evening's chats and bants as life goes on. Here's Ankajani for Manchester City. Passes it back to Ortega. And it looks as if, Paul, Arsenal have heard you. They're starting to press up a little further.
Yeah, I'd like to see it because I think a lot of the time when you're playing a team like Manchester City, the amount of games that they win by just being them, teams come here and expecting to get turned over. What I'd like to see is teams putting pressure on that City defense, attacking a little bit, and you never know. You never know what could come out of that.
Well, there's always going to be an opportunity for either sides when they do press. But I guess Arsenal have decided that attack is the best form of defence when you certainly saw the Arsenal defensive lineup put up. There were a couple of eyebrows raised, but so far, Mikel Arteta in Arsenal they trust because so far, tactically getting this just about spot on. And Nketiah to Trossard, lifted it over. Xhaka looking inside for the chance. Referee says handball against Nketiah. The free kick will go in the way of Manuel Ankajani and Manchester City. So we're getting close to the 10-minute mark before half-time. It is Manchester City 0, Arsenal 0. Been chances, saves having to be made by Ortega. Matt Turner diving out brilliantly to deny Erling Haaland. Other than that, we've not had too many chances that like we would have hoped for. In terms, only 8 shots in total in the match thus far. But City just favouring possession. Grealish, and there's Holding cutting out that early ball, just as Haaland was sniffing right on his shoulder. Long clearance going out wide to Nketiah, but it's not made it as far as Nketiah. It's not even made it to the halfway line. It's thrown to Ake to place. What do you make of Jack Grealish at the moment, Paul?
Well, he's being marshalled well by this Arsenal defence, but this entire front line is. I have to say, I've been impressed with the Arsenal defence so far. They've really restricted City to long-range efforts. They're marshalling Grealish well. They're marshalling De Bruyne well. He, of course, really only had that one chance on the edge of the box, which he nearly took.
Well, it was a moment of brilliance, to be fair, by Kevin De Bruyne. It was very unlucky that it didn't fly into the back of the net, but so you'd have to agree there as well. Arteta's got this spot on. Lovely little touch there by De Bruyne. Did he fall over his own feet? Oh, I don't know about that. But then Grealish guilty of the foul thereafter. And now it's Tomiyasu with a free kick for Arsenal. Halfway inside their own half, more or less. And looking to play it short to Holding. Now Gabriel goes down the channel on the near side. Stones, control, touch. Lovely touch. Lewis into Trossard. Tierney. Nketiah. Gabriel. Little dummy to beat Haaland. Xhaka. Back to Holding. Tomiyasu wants it wide and has got it wide. A hold of him is Vieira and Saka. Now this is Fabio Vieira charging forward. Arsenal have got 5, 6, 7 players at the moment. They've got a man out wide in Kieran Tierney, which is cut inside. Lovely touch by he. The ball is crossed, looping all the way over, and that's going to go out in the end for a goal kick. But Arsenal showing a switch of play, and they were showing there that there may be another route to goal.
Yeah, there was a promising break by Arsenal. It's a pity the ball there was a bit wayward, but promising break by Arsenal, and they're pressing a little bit and putting City under a little bit of pressure. I like to see this.
Well, since Haaland had to go down for the treatment that was required by the potential worry of a head injury, since then there's definitely been a shift in the contest as far as Arsenal are. They're looking to try and push further up the pitch. As Paul suggested, it's almost as if they heard you all the way there from Calgary, young man. But still, we'll wait and see. Here's Ortega. And he's marshalled at the moment by 4 Arsenal players on the edge of the area. There is a long looping pass looking for Haaland against Holding. Certainly Haaland has had the better of Holding in the air. Manchester City move it forward with Tierney. That's a panicky clearance at the moment. Gabriel's got to get that. It's looped over the bar and it's looped wide. And there's appeals here at the moment that needs to be a corner. Doesn't look like it at the moment. It's looped over. What on earth happened here, Paul?
Well, Gabriel had to really get there first. I thought he did get the final touch, Gabriel. I may be wrong. But he had to get into Haaland there because Haaland's a big, strong boy. He would have definitely got the better of Gabriel there. So it was super important that he gets in there and gets the final touch. I think he did there, but I'd love to see a replay on that because I'm not 100% sure.
Well, it turns out it was Haaland that got the final touch. It has gone out, and the ball is cleared away. Rodri leaves it and heads it back in there for Ankajani, who's got Nketiah chasing the ball down. Now Ortega, little touch of his left foot out wide to Stones. Trossard is across, and Trossard just half a second looked like he'd stolen the ball from John Stones. Rico Lewis, Mahrez plays it back. There's a bit of a mix-up in the area at the moment, and Nketiah has dived in as Stones and Ortega just stopped communicating, which is so lethal in the area. Now it's Trossard for Arsenal. Can he get to the byline and cross? He's under pressure at the moment from Rodri. Now Mahrez. And Mahrez has come in and helped his side out there. Clever pass into De Bruyne to play the ball away, but there is Xhaka across. Now Gundogan with a little touch to Jack Grealish. Grealish up against Partey. A chance to run for Grealish. He's got it away into Haaland. Grealish runs ahead of him at the moment. It's still Erling Haaland at the moment. Goes out wide. Here comes Kevin De Bruyne. Inside. It's back to Rodri. Gundogan. And De Bruyne's lost it. Flags and appeals for offside. Grealish's ball in. It's going to go out for a goal kick. But Manchester City just going up a couple of gears there and just starting to put a bit of pressure on.
Yeah, they broke out well after that poor communication between the goalkeeper and the defender there, Stones. They broke out very quickly, did City there. That was the first time, I think, that they've really stretched the Arsenal defence in this first half, though.
Absolutely. The moment of brilliance from De Bruyne. But since then, that's the best bit of pressure. And it showed because Matt Turner's ordered everybody in a red shirt to move forward. When we're coming up to the 5-minute mark before we break for half-time. And the ball boy having to dive over the two sets of advertising boards to pick the ball up. And Rise Miles for Matt Turner, New Jersey native over here. And obviously played all 4 games in the USA when the US played in the World Cup. Keeping that clean sheet against England certainly will be a proud moment for him and the tournament. And for football in general at the moment, seems to be more popular than ever, particularly the Premier League at the moment in the United States. Record viewership was recorded in the Arsenal-Manchester United game. Highest ever rated Premier League game watched live in the US. Maybe they are starting to understand that proper sport is, rather than their version of football. I wonder if we'll introduce our version, the proper version of cricket to them than the rounders that they play. Anyway, here's Grealish. And Erling was bundled down and a yellow card has gone out at the moment. And it's frustrations for Holding. But I don't think you can have many complaints about that.
No, I don't see what he's complaining at there. That was he just pulled him over. Perhaps it might have been legitimate in rugby, but not in football.
Well, maybe in American football, but no, I'm afraid here Rob Holding has nothing to complain about. Yellow cards. So confirmation, first booking of the contest as we're into the final 4 minutes of the first half. It's been goalless. We've had its moments. I reckon this game's just waiting for the second half for that 9-goal thriller to arrive, Paul.
Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it? I think it needs a goal, though. I think the game definitely needs a goal. And I touch on your point that you made much earlier, that it's better if the away team scores it. I do agree with that.
And you wonder from there if the away team does score it, will the home side have enough to get back in the game? So far at the moment, 0-0. Plenty for the guys to talk about, though. You haven't seen nothing here. Join Nicholas and Mike for their views of the halfway mark of what has been a fascinating game, but not really lacking the quality and the drama that we would have hoped at the moment. And the flag went up for offside, and the play was made here. Bukayo Saka wasn't interfering with play, as is the complication of the offside flag that's leading to such confusing decisions that has taken place. But to quote the great Barry Davis on commentary, if you're not interfering with play, what on earth are you doing on the pitch? There's Ortega with a long ball. Haaland, good control, but under pressure straight away is a red shirt to steal the ball. Fabio Vieira. And he saw no options and tried to play it into where he thought they'd be space. There was not. And what have you made of Rob Holding in that half, Paul?
I think he's done very well. I think he seems to be the one that is sort of marshalling Erling Haaland the most. And I think he's done very, very well. Haaland has been very restricted in this half.
Well, he has been. It looks like from a tactical standpoint, it's been picked up the boys in the studio, and they'll talk about this more, is the positional sense of Thomas Partey at the moment. It's been interesting, but seems to be. What are your thoughts on the game? Go ahead and give us your views on the chat at the moment. How do you rate the match? This is Nketiah. Oh, that's a lovely little step over trying to get past Ankajani. Vieira dives across Ankajani. Another good challenge. Really good one in a row. Now it's Rodri under pressure from Bukayo Saka. Rodri, long ball, crossfield, going out wide, looking for Mahrez. Can Mahrez get there? He can't. The presence of mind to almost be a great counter-attack. It's not to be. But the game's starting to become end-to-end. I don't think either side at the moment is looking at half-time. But I think both managers may welcome half-time chance to reset. Can you see some half-time changes in this one?
I think it's possible, but I think more likely the changes are going to be coming probably before the hour mark, depending on if the score changes. I'm not sure they'll make any at halftime. I think it's been very even Stevens in the first half. I don't think one side has thoroughly outplayed the other, so they may just delay on the substitutions.
Well, it's called there by Nicky Weaver, and those of us that watch football back in the day will know he had some outstanding performances for Manchester City. It's the best 0-0 you ever see, and it's an absolute tactical elite game of football, and it's certainly been a tactical contest. Here's Trossard, who has been for one of the bright sparks and just shown to be a very savvy signing for Arsenal as he tries to get past Stones, unable to do so, and John Stones looks to be holding his leg as he's gone down. Wonder if it's cramp or a dead leg. He stayed down. And it's gone out, and referee Paul Tierney's come over. We're at the 45-minute mark, and 2 minutes of time added on, which is just about a fair amount. John Stones just crouched down there, sort of laying with his knees up to his chin, almost in a very prone position. Looks like he's holding his right hamstring. He struggled here to stay fit at the moment. Stones, does he? He looks slightly resigned. I wonder if he does think here that this injury might be terminal and that might be his game over and done with.
Yeah, well, they've got the substitutes warming up. It's obviously you hope it's not a serious injury. Nobody wants to see a player get injured. Hopefully he'll recover from that. But if it's a hamstring, usually that's at least 2 weeks out, isn't it?
Yeah, it does look like a hamstring injury to the point where I think Ruben Diaz is starting to warm up at the moment. So I don't think they'll even wait till halftime. If there is an injury, that'll be it. Hamstrings themselves, if you play on, they can be absolute months out of the game. And it looks as if Laporte is also warming up for Manchester City. So I guess between them, they'll both have a 50-yard sprint. Whoever gets to the halfway line first gets to come on. It used to be that way when I was on the bench, but there we go. Does look like Stones' evening is over. The physio is having a word, and there's Guardiola getting instructions from his backroom staff. And let's have a look at this moment again. Watch in slow motion. And you can just see there's nobody around him. He's charging and running and can just feel the back of his hamstring go. And even tries to lean forward. So I think that'll be John Stones done for today. He's walking off. John Stones thankfully doesn't have a World Cup to be fit for in the summer for England and probably could do with a proper pre-season, but did put in some impressive performances in the World Cup for England, and it was good to see him fully fit and playing back for Manchester City, but I think that might be it for him today.
Yeah, it could be. Aymeric Laporte is getting stripped off now to to come on as his replacement, but we'll see. I've seen this before where they get them all stripped off, ready to go. They're on the touchline, all ready to come on, and before you know it, they sat back down again with the tracksuit on.
Well, maybe that's just a ribble too. It used to be the case. Rico Lewis is standing over the throne, and I will imagine he's going to throw it straight back to a red shirt. And pretty much all the time added on that we have had has been for that injury. So I wonder if we do get to play the next 2 minutes. There's Mahrez. Just passes it back to Arsenal, and it's back to Matt Turner. Now Gabriel. So we played the 2 minutes of added time, but they've been for an injury to John Stones. Confirmation the change has not taken place yet. We'll keep an eye out to see if that is the case. Here's Partey. And now Xhaka. Out wide. Tierney. Looking for Trossard, but Rico Lewis does well. Getting a foot in and knocking the ball out. And it looks as if Ankajani's at centre-back all by himself. Here is Laporte. And on he comes. And John Stones is FA Cup fourth round tie for tonight, at least, has concluded. What are your thoughts? A lot of predictions are on for the second half. Certainly is the case. will we get any of the results that have appeared in the channel today? Lewis's clearance out for an Arsenal throw. And imagine the last 30 seconds or so before we go to the halfway mark. Well, it's been a tactical battle. It's been a good 0-0. There is such a thing as a good 0-0, but as the co-commentary team agree here today, game does need a goal. You wonder if we will find it in this last few moments or in the second half. There's Lewis, slips over, allows Nketiah to play across, which has gone out for a goal kick. Referee Paul Tierney is asking the players to keep going. Arteta and Guardiola just pacing their technical areas, getting ready to meet their two sides. Two managers here, which technically have been able to meet each other brain to brain at the moment. It's as if you've got two chess masters here in a grand final, just trying to work their way through. Stefan Ortega to clear the ball away. And that is the halfway mark in this contest as things stand. Manchester City 0, Arsenal 0. It's been a tactical battle between two sides that have played some quality football at time. The most standout point has been a lovely effort in the end by Kevin De Bruyne that just flashed wide of the post. Chance of Lisandro Trossard, but at the break, it's goalless. Back to the boys in the studio.
Thanks, Trevor. Well, Manchester City had the game under their control for much of for the early part of the game, but Arsenal appeared to be coming back into it. We're now going to get the thoughts of Mike. Mike, do you see that? Mike, do you see Arsenal looking to build on their advantage now that they gained control of much of the game?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's really, there's been a real lot of positives there from an Arsenal standpoint. There's been some really good performances. Yes, we've been a little bit fortunate at times with a few mistakes by Rob Holding, which Erling Haaland wasn't able to capitalise on. But we've had moments as well. Leandro Trossard, has looked very bright and lively going forward. He's when the ball goes out to him, he's looked dangerous on every attack that he's been involved in. I think when you look at it, I think Eddie Nketiah's led the line pretty well. He came quite close to getting himself on the score sheet as well. Tomiyasu obviously as well was very close with the effort that he had, which was saved as well. So overall, it's been a very positive performance from an Arsenal standpoint, and actually, we've created quite a bit there as well. And if you look at the subs benches as well, we've got an awful lot that we can bring off the subs bench here that can potentially change the game in our favour even more. With the likes of Martin Odegaard and Gabriel Martinelli, just to name a couple who probably will get on at some point in the second half. But obviously, we still have to be wary of Erling Haaland, of Kevin De Bruyne, who obviously came very, very close with his effort, I should say, which was just wide of Matt Turner's post. And obviously, Jack Grealish and Riyad Mahrez are obviously going to be a threat in that second half as well. But I've been very impressed actually with Arsenal and the way that Arsenal have played in that first half. I just want to say the same, really. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But you've also got to feel sorry for John Stones injuring himself before half time. Now that City have brought on Laporte, how much do you think Laporte will contribute to City's cause in the second half?
Yeah, he's going to obviously have to play a big part now. It's a shame for John Stones. Obviously, he doesn't much luck, really, does he? Sometimes he seems to be hitting form or coming good, and then obviously he gets an injury there on the stroke of half time and isn't able to continue. But yeah, I think Laporte will play quite a big part in the second half. It's all about how they reshape and stuff as well now. And I'm sure Pep Guardiola will get some strong instructions across to him in particular at half time about how he wants him to sort of play his part in dealing with this Arsenal front three, which can be very effective on their day, and have already shown in moments in that first half what they're about.
we're also. Do you think Nketiah and Saka will make more of an impression in the second half for Arsenal?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I think Bukayo Saka hasn't really been involved too much. He's not really, sort of been his sparkling himself. Hasn't on the ball as much as he has been in other games, and contributing as much as he can do. But Manchester City are obviously going to be very wary about Bukayo Saka. They'll know him well. Jack Grealish obviously will, played with him for England. John Stones as well. And obviously Bukayo Saka showed last week against Manchester United that, that's what he can do. Give him the ball and he's not afraid to have a shot from long distance. And those shots can end up in the back of the net, as proven last weekend in that 3-2 victory against the red side of Manchester. And I wouldn't bet against him doing something pretty similar in this game as well, because yes, he's not really been himself, as I was saying, but he's a fantastic player and a player of real quality. And he's had moments in this game, but he's not been his usual self as of yet. And I think that's going to be a worry to Manchester City, because he can really go up the gears pretty quickly as well.
Yes, indeed. So too can Leandro Trossard. But before we get back to some of the other points to some of the other points on the game, we've just got time to remind you of just got time to tell our listeners other FA Cup games that are coming up this weekend. Tomorrow evening, it's Manchester United against Reading with Ross Vernon and I on commentary duty, with the game being presented by Luke Turton. And on Sunday, we've got two FA Cup matches for you. It's Brighton and Hove Albion against Liverpool, with Russ hosting that one, and commentary will be by John JB Stoddard and Paul James. I'm on solo commentary duty for Wrexham against Sheffield United. Could be the opportunity of a massive shot, that one. Wrexham, the only non-league club left in the cup. And on Monday, we have Derby County against West Ham United. Russ Vernon again will be presenting that one. And Mike, who you heard from earlier, will be on main commentary duty, and making her and we've got a new addition to the co-commentary team. Holly Wright will be making her commentary hub debut on the Monday night. So good luck to her. But back to the here and now. Erling Haaland. He was lucky. Erling Haaland lucky to get away with almost being injured in the first half. Mike.
Yeah, I didn't really see there was an awful lot in that. Rob Holding obviously got himself a booking, and I think that was kind of a little bit of I don't know what the word is, but there's been a few incidences in that first half where Rob Holding was sort of tussling with Erling Haaland, and might have been a little bit too strong and a little bit too aggressive on that occasion. But I think that's something that Manchester City will play on as well now, knowing what Erling Haaland's all about, and the fact that Rob Holding's got a booking there. He's really got to be careful in the second half.
Yes, he certainly has. Yes, he certainly has got to be careful. Has Rob Holding? We're just about a few minutes away from the start of the second half. Need to remind you that Arsenal continue to lead the Premier League, 5 points clear of Manchester City, who have won 9 out of their last cup matches, and as Trevor mentioned earlier, last beat Arsenal all the way back in 1904 in the cup. In the cup. So for as long as a lot of people can remember, Arsenal appear to have been a bogey team for Manchester City in the cup. But even though Arsenal were on top, do you think that Do you think that Manchester City have the potential to change to change that tonight? Because as I mentioned at the start, because I mentioned before handing over to Trevor that they have made the semi-finals in consecutive years since the 16-17 season.
Yeah, absolutely. They've still got plenty of quality on the pitch there. You know, as I mentioned, Erling Haaland, Riyad Mahrez has been mentioned, Jack Grealish has been mentioned. So they've got plenty of quality there, plenty of real talented options that they can bring on off the bench as well. So, you know, and even if you look in their midfield, obviously Gundogan and Rodri and, you know, Kevin De Bruyne as well. They've got some real talent in there. So Arsenal do have to be wary of that Manchester City side. And, you know, especially been away from home as well. Arsenal really have to kind of keep their eye on the ball as such and, be very wary of this Manchester City side and don't sleep on them at all. Because if, you know, Erling Haaland gets half a sniff, we've seen the season many, many times that he's, you know, pretty much always certain to put those chances away.
Yes, indeed, and we've now got and we've also now got Russ Vernon with us. Russ, good evening. Good
evening, Nick.
What have you made of the first half?
I think it's been a good first half. I think both teams are not wanting to go that out for leather just checks. Don't want to pick up any injuries for the running in the Premier League. Obviously, John Stones got off injured, which is a bit of a blow for Man City because they were looking good. A centre back alongside the Kanji tonight, but I think Man City will go into the second half probably the happier. Yes, I know Arsenal have had some chances of their own, but Arsenal have not really threatened Man City. Man City have had a few chances, always managed to get in behind. There's been a few tame shots for Man City, and I think Man City probably have avenged the shots. So I think it's going to be a good second half, Nicholas. But for me, whoever gets the first goal, and like the boys said on commentary, I'm hoping it's the away team to just lift the game a bit, because that's what I think this game's missing. Is both teams are playing really well, going for it as well as they can be to stop any more injuries from happening. And I think once that first goal comes, from whichever side it is, we'll probably see the floodgates open one way or the other, with the opposition side trying to get back into the game.
Yes, indeed, and before we're still about a couple of minutes away from the before the start of the second half, and Mike's got something on neither side wanting a replay.
Yeah, I was just saying, obviously, neither side wants a replay in this competition, an extra game as well, obviously. As already been mentioned, Arsenal host Manchester City in a couple of weeks in the Premier League. Still got to go to the Etihad in the Premier League as well. Neither side's going to want that fourth game between the sides, which at this moment in time is, looks likely. But we've still got 45 minutes to try and get a winner as well, and see which side can get that momentum to take forward into the game at the Emirates in a few weeks, and obviously onto the one at the Etihad that's coming up in, I believe, sort of April sort of time, I think it is.
Yes, quite. And so before we go back, before we go back to Trevor and Paul for the second half, Russ, how do you see the second half panning out? Do you think we'll get an eventual goal or two?
Yeah, I think this game's got a goal in it, Nicholas, from either side. I think we're going to see a goal in the game, and I'm not sure which way who's going to score it first. Where they're both playing, I think looking at where they're both playing and where Rob Holding's playing, I'd probably say it'll probably be Man City will probably score first, and which will then open up the game. But I do see Arsenal scoring as well. So I think there's going to be goals in both of these in from either side in this game. But I think Arsenal will probably be the first ones to get it.
And you're still going for a Manchester City victory?
I actually said an Arsenal victory in the prediction earlier on, 3-2 to Arsenal. But But what I will say on that, Nicholas, is if Man City get the first goal, I think Man City will win. If Arsenal get the first goal, I think Arsenal will win. So it's a case of whoever gets the first goal, I think will go on to win this game.
Ooh.
But I'm still going for a 3-2 to Arsenal come the end of it. So I think Arsenal will get the first goal.
Oh, okay. So interesting that. Okay, so an interesting take to see. To say that so whoever scores first wins. And apologies if I misheard anything earlier. Mike, how do you see the second half panning out? Who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, I'd like to hope that Arsenal go on and win. There has been a few changes made at half time from Arsenal, from Mikel Arteta as well, which I will let Trevor get into. But we touched on Rob Holding, and Rob Holding obviously has got himself a booking and found it pretty torrid up against Erling Haaland, and he's one that hasn't returned for the second half. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But I'd like to think Arsenal will win. But yeah, Manchester City, always going to be a threat as well.
Okay, thank you for now, Ross and Mike. Back now to Paul James and Trevor Sports.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Right, I can let you know that coming on at the moment is William Saliba and Albert Sambi Lukanga, or Sambi as he prefers to know us, is coming on. I can tell you that you're spot on. Rob Holding is coming off. Looks to be holding his hip in that time. He's the replacing. And Thomas Partey is also a player to depart as well. So Partey is off in the middle of the pitch. Saliba and Sambi Lukanga has come on. So those are the changes at the halfway mark for Arsenal. Of course, just before a minute before half-time, after John Stones' injury, Aymeric Laporte came on for Manchester City. And Hurling is standing over the ball. And we are waiting for Manchester City. Will get us going this time from right to left and kick things off at the second half. And as both sides there, they don't want a replay. There will be no extra time on the concept of a penalty competition to settle this. The two sides know that they've got the Premier League in the back burners. For Manchester City, I also feel they potentially got the UEFA Champions League on the horizon for them. Early touch for Haaland. Now it's for De Bruyne. Little ball going out wide. Has Grealish got the pace to get that? It's a real chase between the two. Tomiyasu gets there first. And Tomiyasu was able to make sure that it's going to be an Arsenal goal kick. Well, that was a positive start, wasn't it, Paul?
Yeah, breakout quick there for Manchester City, but fantastic work by Tomiyasu, just getting there to usher the ball out of play. I have to say, I'm really surprised to see Partey was taken off. I thought he'd done well, just sat in front of the back four there. But we'll see how all this plays out.
You wonder if there was one eye towards what's coming next between both these two sides. The games themselves, the game itself, a lot of people said it's been an interesting tactical battle, but we want goals, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful to see them in the second half. Certainly, if you're Manchester City or Arsenal, neither side wants to go to a replay. So you hope from here that we'll go see this 5-goal thriller that we've been promised. In my mind, there's Tomiyasu under pressure from Grealish, and the touch seems to come off Grealish. And the Etihad doesn't agree with that decision, and neither does Grealish. He's recognised him by his calves that seem to be as wide as his head. Bless him.
Well, yeah, that definitely came off Grealish. I'm not sure what he's complaining at.
Well, that's football, isn't it? You're gonna contest, and every little challenge, see if you can get that advantage. It's the whole level of gamesmanship or something housery, I think it's also known as, but we won't be broadcasting that this evening. This is Turner, and Turner with the long ball over the top at the moment. Touch for Trossard. Lovely control by him. Looks very comfortable when he has had the ball. Looking for Tierney. There's young Rico Lewis, number 82 at left back. Under pressure from Trossard. Can't get it out. Trossard has kept it in. Its last touch there was off Ankajani, and Arsenal have a throw. And a positive start in the second half. It's Tierney with the throw-in, just adjacent to the area. Looking for options. Ball in hand. Throw goes backwards. Now it's squared across. Saliba was looking for the little pass inside for Nketiah. It hasn't worked out. It's been well read at the moment by Laporte. This is Mahrez. Now this is Gundogan. Gundogan comfortable on the ball. Nathan Ake inside the channel over the halfway line to Grealish. And Grealish is forced to play the ball back under pressure for Tomiyasu. And Paul Tierney says that was a foul. Tomiyasu says no, sir. But the match official gives it. Mikel Arteta does make the point that he went down perhaps a little too easily. But already we get going in the first 3 minutes of this contest between these two sides. This is Ortega to clear the ball long. And Ortega does go long, goes crossfield again, looking for Grealish. Tomiyasu gets his head to it. And Erling Haaland isn't able to put the pressure on Turner as he would like. Also a reminder of the changes that took place. Thomas Partey and Rob Holding departing us. Oncoming Albert Sambi Lukana and William Saliba has also come on. And straight away, Manchester City putting a little bit of pressure on the substitutes. There's Tomiyasu to clear it from the line into the channel. Flick on by Nketiah. That isn't picked up. Here's Ankajani. Inside to Rodri. There goes pressure at the moment from Vieira. Trossard runs over to try and get there, but Rico Lewis for Manchester City picks the ball back up. Now Ankajani. Laporte to his left. He doesn't see him now. He's looking to run in the middle. Looking for Rodri. Now he sees his centre-half partner. And Laporte plays it all the way back to Ortega. Inside to Rodri. Ball itself just being kept, and Manchester City certainly not moving the ball at great speed and pace, looking for that long ball over the top. Certainly it was causing holding problems. Will it cause Saliba that many problems? Vieira. Now it's an early touch inside for Gabriel. And there is a Lukana. It was just caught by Mahrez. And Vieira is down and looks to be just raising his left hand to say, oh, I think I've taken a little knock here. It looks to be from the challenge earlier on. Of course, the last thing Arsenal want is a fleet of injuries. Squad itself. And there's talk of them potentially making more investments. A 60 million bid for Moses Salcido. So it looks as if Arsenal seem to be backing the manager and backing themselves in this title race. But of course, this is for the Cup. This is a chance for some teams to forget about the Premier League. But I don't think either side here can forget about it now. This is Trossard. Lovely touch inside. Good control. Xhaka. Lucano. Just control, let him down. Now it's De Bruyne to break. He's got Haaland to his left. Charging for the middle ahead of him. It's Kevin De Bruyne looking for the pace of Haaland. Oh, Haaland showing fantastic pace at the moment. Was able to go shoulder to shoulder with Tomiyasu, but was not able to clear it through. Just able to drop on the shoulder, and Haaland just showing his Terminator-like determination to power his way through, but it wasn't to be.
Goodness me,
Gabriel.
he just bulldozed Tomiyasu over, didn't he, Trevor?
I believe that's called shoulder to shoulder. Here's Gundogan in some space. There goes Haaland. Bit of space for Gundogan again. Goes out wide. Grealish now on the right foot. Two Arsenal players coming across to marshal him. Nathan Ake. It's now Bukayo Saka and Tomiyasu. Almost seem to be double teaming Grealish at the moment. Grealish against Tomiyasu. Cuts inside. Looks for an option. Can he find one? Ake supporting. Laporte is also an option. Here is Aymeric Laporte for Manchester City. Little pass inside. Space to turn for Gundogan. Now it's De Bruyne. He's not seen a lot of the ball at the moment. When he has, he's produced some quality moments. Turner has to punch the cross away. Only as far as Mahrez on the edge of the area. Now Rico Lewis under pressure from Trossard. Mahrez again. Manchester City just starting to show a little bit of a foothold in the game at the moment in the last few moments. Here's Rodri. Got two banks of 4 players ahead of him in Arsenal colours. Lewis, De Bruyne, Mahrez. Lewis has kept going. Can he put a good cross in? He can't. He ends up swiping his efforts, and it's going to count, I think, as a missed target. But there was a chance to put it back, and that was a good little move by the young man on the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a really promising build-up for Manchester City. Excuse me. It's a pity the final ball wasn't quite there, because that really was an excellent build-up move by Manchester City.
It was an excellent little run there by Lewis. Certainly impressive. However, it hasn't resulted in a shot on target. But it's been the best bit of football, perhaps, we've seen in the second half. There is Turner to clear. Goes long. Gundogan wins it for Manchester City. Haaland. And Fabio Vieira is limping over as if he was caught, I suspect. Studs on his foot there, but it looks like he's going to be able to run it off. Nathan Ake with the throw all the way back to Laporte, who's in an old-fashioned left-back position, under pressure from Nketiah. Here's Ortega, who passes it very abruptly and straight away, all the way back. And Paul Tierney here, the referee, has stopped play. And there is another Manchester City player. And I think the Arsenal goalkeeper, Matt Turner here, seems to be complaining about his left shoulder. Could this be another injury potentially?
Well, for Arsenal's sake, I hope not. They've already got a bucket load. But he doesn't look very comfortable there, does he? It looks like I just wonder whether he might have popped that shoulder
Well,
there when he came out for the punch.
Yes, the cross comes in from De Bruyne. He's curling in with his left foot away from Turner. Turner punches it with his left foot. Does he just land awkwardly on that shoulder? And shoulder injuries are horrible things to recover from, and I say that from experience. And Ramsdale's warming up.
Yeah, not surprised to see that. If it has popped, he will probably come off. And usually that's at least a week out as well, isn't it?
Well, we'll wait and see. We can see at the moment here that once again there's a little chance for a little bit of a timeout. Both managers able to have a word with their teams and set things going at the moment. Arsenal had a 60 million bid for Salcedo rejected, and Arsenal are set to go back in. So Arsenal still persisting. They definitely want their man. And you wonder if Matt Turner, will he keep going? Will it be a case of a little bit of deep heat and off he goes again? Well, I wonder. Drop ball. Tierney's giving it back to Laporte. He plays it back to Ortega in the area for Manchester City. Under a little bit of pressure from Nketiah. Looks for Haaland. And now it's found Grealish. Grealish seems to pass. That's a good little pass by Grealish to Mahrez. De Bruyne is running forward. Riyad Mahrez once again on his left foot. De Bruyne's across goal. Turner makes the save. The pass was across into the area looking for Haaland. There was Turner to make a good stop. That'll test the shoulder, no doubt. Here's Rico Lewis from Manchester City. The noise level's gone up a little bit at the moment inside the Etihad, and rightly so. I think they may sense that this may be their opportunity. Here's Laporte. Manchester City continuing to press Arsenal in the final third. Laporte left-footed across to Mahrez. Instant control. Another left-footed player. Lewis. Lewis's pass to Rodri. Out wide. Mahrez again. Up against Trossard. There's his Mahrez. This is former Leicester versus former Brighton. Mahrez's long ball in looking for Haaland. Oh, and he ends up diving at the moment into Turner, but they end up hug and shake and they're best friends afterwards. But I think Turner seems to be okay. I don't think that left shoulder's bothering because this was an important stop.
Oh, this was a superb piece of goalkeeping. And again, when a goalkeeper commits himself like that he has to get there, and he does. He gets down, stops the cross from coming in. It's not a bad ball by De Bruyne, and Haaland is cutting inside. So an important bit of work there by Turner.
Yeah, the ability to pass the ball back has certainly been the Manchester City staple in the way in which they've played in recent times. Here is Tomiyasu, and two changes lined up on the halfway line for Manchester City. Julian Alvarez and Kyle Walker getting set up. So a World Cup quarterfinalist and a World Cup winner. Have a guess who's who. This is Gabriel, left-footed, clearing it long, looking for Trossard, but it's beaten Ankajani. Now it's Laporte in the final third of the pitch for Manchester City at the moment. Back to Ortega. Ortega, the Manchester City goalkeeper, passes it inside to Rodri, and those two just trying to play again, but Nketiah is putting some pressure on Laporte at the moment. There's looked to pay it away. Now it is Ankajani, under pressure from Trossard. And referee has pulled up play for a foul there by Trossard on Manuel Ankajani. We've played 57 minutes. He's signalling over that the changes can be made for Manchester City. So we know that Julian Alvarez is due to come on, and we know that the first player to come off will be Riyad Mahrez. So Mahrez's evening is over. Julian Alvarez comes on for Manchester City. For him, 9 goals so far this season. And young Rico Lewis our evening is over. He's departing the pitch. Coming on his place is Kyle Walker, who probably will come into that position. So Kyle Walker, Julian Alvarez is on. Confirmation that Rico Lewis and Riyad Mahrez are departing. Paul, want to know your thoughts on those changes?
Well, excuse me. I think Rico Lewis has played really well. I think the changes are necessary, though. He's a young man. You don't want to pound too many games on him. I mean, he's going to appear in the Premier League from the substitute bench as well. So smart change there. Alvarez is a goal scorer, and that's what's lacking right now. So I can see why Pep's made these changes.
Yes, of course, Julian Alvarez scoring all the goals in Argentina's win as they made their way through to the semi-final. Really good performance. He had 2 against Croatia, scored 4 in total in the World Cup, but had a certain player called Lionel. Argentina was able to get him over the line. Very good performance he did. The debate will always be there, who is the greatest of all time. It's a great debate to have, but now there's a chance. Vieira! Oh! The long ball over the top. It was knocked back in the collision between Ake, and it knocked back there between Nketiah. And Vieira had all the time in the world, and he just seemed to slice at it.
Well, he maybe didn't realise the amount of time that he had, and struck at it first time. But if he'd have realised how much time he'd had, he would have had time to take that ball down, maybe go on a few yards and strike the ball. Probably just didn't realise the amount of time he had there, Trevor.
Yeah, and they're always saying in football, hearing the words time make a difference. This is Lucano. He's brought down. Tomiyasu thought about it quickly. Jack Grealish just dribbles it away, and Rodrigo is penalised just with a little bit of a reminder of please don't do that from referee Paul Tierney in charge of today's game. So Tomiyasu standing ready. And he's going to leave it at the moment for William Saliba. Lucano. Saliba again. Gabriel. Pass along the ground is into space, which is picked by Kyle Walker. So certainly a change for experience and for legs. Kyle Walker, of course, is known for his pace, which he does possess. This is Laporte's left-footed crossfield looking for Haaland. Read at the moment there by Gabriel. Now it's a chance for Tierney to bring the ball, and he's got it to feet. Halfway mark in this contest. We're at an hour. Anything can happen in the next half hour. It's Manchester City, Arsenal 0 here. Live commentary coming to you here on Trevor Sports in association with the Commentary Hub. Live watch along available. And we thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and subscribe to the Commentary Hub. Follow us on Twitter at Trevor Sports 90 and at Commentary Live 1. And let's just keep you updated in this alternate version of football commentary. As if you are watching tonight in the game and you're watching it in the UK, by all means, go stick on ITV1. Hit that mute button. You'll do yourself a favour. Stick us as a watch along. There's Turner. Clever little pass straight away. Now this is Saliba. Looks for the low ball. And now this is Gundogan. And that's good control that had to be made by Alvarez. This is Grealish. Gundogan. And just not able to find half a yard. The goal kick's been signalled. And we have half an hour to go. There have been some changes made, but still the game hasn't kicked into high gear.
No, it's not. And Arsenal have taken their foot off the gas in this second half as well. They've not pressed as much. I'm really disappointed that they haven't brought Saka into the game more. He's such a threat down that right-hand side. He can cause a lot of problems. I think they do need to bring him into the game more, but I definitely feel that Arsenal have taken their foot off the gas in the second half a little bit.
Well, there's been comments that are appearing online that Arsenal not looking as compact as they do under Thomas Partey. But here we go. Let's wait and see. And Fabio Vieira may regret the fact that he did have a chance to take a couple of more touches. Lucano just does well to bring the ball under control, but Saka is under pressure. Laporte clears it away. He clears it as far as Tomiyasu does well to keep it in play. Lucano, clever little pass. Flag stays down. Fabio Vieira. Tomiyasu for Arsenal now. Ball goes back over the halfway line. Saliba inside to Lucano. Looking for the run over the top by Vieira. And Ake reads it. It's a throw in for Arsenal.
Good work by Ake there. Read where the ball was going. Got his foot in the way there. Stopped a breakaway down the right-hand side.
Well, Tomiyasu's cleaning the ball and getting any moisture of it. So he's not going to lose any firm grip of it as he throws this away. There is his throw. It's a long one. It's back towards William Saliba. Now Gabriel, number 6, under pressure at the moment. Jack Grealish running across to Saliba. Pass in to Saka. who's lost it. And Bukayo Saka's been well marked in this game. Hasn't seen a lot of the ball. Now this is Julian Alvarez marching forward for Manchester City at the moment, looking for the cross. It's deflected off Gabriel. He might just do enough to prevent the corner. He does. It's only a throw-in. But Alvarez just showing a little bit of pace and a good bit of touch from himself. Jack Grealish to run over and take the throw-in. £100 million man. A lot of criticism is made of him. Of course, Grealish know what it's like to play and lose an FA Cup final, being part of the 2015 Aston Villa side that were beaten 4-0 by Arsenal. He was a young man that day, much more experienced player now, and I'm sure he'd love to add that to the Premier League title that he won with Manchester City last season. Is Ankajani right away into the final third of the pitch. Now it's Alvarez. Goes for goal. Oh, he hits the woodwork. Back to Grealish in space. He wasn't expecting that, Grealish. Would he play the ball back in? Ake to support. Grealish again. Oh, back into Ake to hit one. Oh, it's a delightful goal by Nathan Ake. Manchester City have taken the lead. It's a fantastic effort. Ake had the ball back, right-footed, and he's rolled it back in. But that's after Alvarez had hit an effort that struck the post. Turner was beaten all up. We finally got a goal in the game. 26 minutes to go. Nathan Ake, who would have put money on him to get the goal? But his lovely strike slotted in. It's Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0.
Yes, started from that Alvarez strike. What a sweet strike that was. Turner well beaten. Jack Grealish having the wherewithal here just to drop the ball back to Ake. And that curling shot didn't have a lot of power on it, but it was enough to just creep all the way into the corner. And yeah, you're right. Out of all the players on the pitch for Manchester City, you wouldn't have picked out Ake at all. But this finish was absolutely exquisite. That any one of those City forwards would have been proud of.
Oh, he just placed it just perfectly. Matt Turner in the Arsenal goal could not get near that. It's about half a foot inside the far post. Does it take the slightest of deflections? I don't know. It doesn't matter. He's suddenly been piled on by Manchester City fans to celebrate that. We've got a check being on at the moment before this, and we've got some changes also being made at the moment. Oh, wow. And Alessandro Trossard, well, his game is over for Arsenal today. He's coming off, and Martinelli is coming on. So Martinelli is on for Arsenal. Alexander Zinchenko is also coming on for the fourth change at the moment. And we'll find out who's going to replace him very, very shortly. There's a confirmation that Alexander Zinchenko is on. So is Gabriel Martinelli, the number 11, which has come on. Zinchenko, the former Manchester City player. Well, this is it now. Game on at the moment. Arsenal know to stay in the FA Cup and to reverse 120 years of success over City. They need to equalise. So they're going for it now. Here's Saka, Tomiyasu, and straight away Manchester City holding back and Arsenal pressing forward at the moment straight away. Gabriel. There's the pass out wide at the moment. Kieran Tierney, to confirmation, was the player that departed at the moment. There's a ball into the area. Oh, Nketiah can't get it. It was a great cross. Nketiah came diving forwards. There goes Ortega across. What out? Let's have a look at this. Where did this come from? Seemed to come almost from nowhere. Great ball into the area. Was that good defending by Aymeric Laporte?
Oh, that was world-class defending by Aymeric Laporte. Oh, that was 1-1. There was no question. And Nketiah was there to put the ball in the net. But what superb defending. That was outstanding.
Well, 5 Arsenal players standing in front of Stefan Ortega's goal as Arsenal look to push forwards. Saka stands ready with the corner. Will he look to loop it in? Raises his right hand, takes a deep breath. The man that was born and raised in Ealing crosses the ball in, and it's claimed by Ortega. So Arsenal showing a little bit of fight here, but so close. Blake Moore says on the chat, it was so close. It was indeed. It was nearly the perfect start, but it's that old saying in football, you're never so vulnerable to as of when you score. And it certainly was the case there. Ortega to clear the ball away, which he does now for Manchester City over the halfway line. And Kyle Walker combining. There is Granit Xhaka. His header at the moment. Back to Gabriel to Saliba. Tomiyasu out wide. Back to Gabriel again. There goes De Bruyne. Charging forward, but just the coolness and calmness the Arsenal man to play it forwards. Here's Zinchenko, former Manchester City man. Won the FA Cup with them in 2019. Here's Saka, who won it the following year with Arsenal. That's a clever little ball at the moment into Tomiyasu. Control just let him down. Back to Saka again, up against Ake and Grealish and running inside and beating both of them. Now for the pass out wide. That's a clever little ball. Good control required by Martinelli. Martinelli's ball in, headed away by Laporte. Only as far as Tomiyasu here. We had a great volley in the first half. Vieira. Lucano. Is the flag staying down? And there's Tomiyasu's ball in. Oh, the touch and control by Nketiah just wasn't able to go ahead and get all of it and really make an impact in the game. There goes De Bruyne. And sliding in was Xhaka. Really is a proper cup tie now. Really is getting going. There's Xhaka to Zicocento. Former Ukrainian player of the season. This is Martinelli for Arsenal. Gone up a couple of gears now since that Manchester City goal. Scored by Nathan Ake. And it was a lovely low curling strike. Have memories of that, of Grosso's goal for Italy against Germany in the 2006 World Cup semi-final, just the way it was placed perfectly. Here's Zicocento, who can really dominate a game from his left-back position. Now it's Xhaka, Martinelli. And the singing and noise is certainly coming from the Etihad faithful, deep in the heart of Moss sides. Zicocento, Xhaka, another little cross coming in, looking for Saka, but Grealish read it, and Ake, the goal scorer, has cleared it away. Saliba, Lucano, look touch, Xhaka into space at the moment to run for Martinelli, but the space was gained illegally by an offside flag. There is Mikel Arteta cheering on from the sidelines, and there's Arsenal at the moment, just starting to put Manchester City under a bit of pressure with the final 20 minutes to go here.
Yeah, the substitutions that he's made are starting to take effect. Martinelli coming on is going to add some extra dimension down that left-hand side. The question is, are the substitutions made too late? Is it time enough now for Arsenal to get back into the game? We'll certainly see.
Well, Haaland showing his ability to turn a defender, but Turner able to show a turn of pace and clear the ball away. And Manchester City will concede possession to Arsenal. Lucano out wide. This is Alexander Zicocento. Did have a run ahead of him, Martinelli, but he's brought the ball back inside. He's well marshalled. Lucano again, number 23. Now it's inside to the centre half partnership, which is met by Bukayo Saka over on the far side. Grealish, lovely little touch by Grealish, who was not to estimate the quality of the assist it was to player Nathan Ake. There goes Haaland. And now this is Kevin De Bruyne. Rodri. Gundogan. Gundogan now to Nathan Ake. Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0. 20 minutes to go. FA Cup 4th round tie here. Live and exclusive. Off-tube alternative commentary here. And you're watching on Trevor Sports. And thank you for our third subscriber of the game. 1,443 as we break towards 2,000. Appreciate the next subscriber. And we appreciate everyone listening to us on Commentary Live, the Commentary Hub, and JB Sports. And we'll come in the next break of play to talk about just some more games that we have coming up for you on the Commentary Hub over this weekend. Haaland looks to win the flick on, gets right back up. This is Saliba. Gabriel is alongside him. Here he is now. Martinelli. Arsenal have not got a lot of time to try and find a way back in this match. But Martinelli is certainly a positive change. Can he produce something? Up against Kyle Walker. This is Zicocento. Of course, Martinelli, a Olympic gold medalist with Gabriel Jesus in Tokyo 2020. Only 2 Olympic gold medalists on this pitch, mind you, but always a special achievement in world football. This is Sambi Lucano. That's a lovely crossfield ball to Bukayo Saka. It's only Nathan Ake across from him, and it's 1-on-1 at the moment. Can Saka put a ball in the box? He can. There goes Nketiah, but it's dealt with comfortably in the end. This is Gundogan for Manchester City to play the ball away. Haaland, little touch off to Rodri. Rodri out wide to Kevin De Bruyne. And the game itself is certainly starting to suit Manchester City in the fact that when they do have the ball, they're comfortable with it. They're comfortable moving it around. and the comfortable controlling the contest at the moment. Thank you for all that have tuned in so far to this contest. And we're getting towards the business side of this game. And Paul, want to know your thoughts. What have Arsenal going to do to get back in this?
Well, they're doing the right thing. They're getting the ball forward. They're creating chances. And that's all they can do at the moment. Every time City get the ball, though, they're just going to slow the pace of the game down. So it's going to be hard for Arsenal to, get the ball back from City to be able to create the chances again. And you can already see right now what City are doing. They're just keeping possession, knocking the ball around. And at 1-0, it's a dangerous thing to do, but this is Manchester City. This is the way they play.
Do indeed. The 1-0 itself is never to be underestimated in the Cup. Of course, famously, 1-0 was the scoreline when Manchester City played Wigan in 2013 and had to concede the FA Cup that day to them in one of the most memorable upsets in FA Cup history. And since then, Manchester City have found their form, gone on to win the Cup in 2019, and the Manchester City faithful today. Well, so if you were to win here as a Friday, it would set your weekend up nicely. And there's lots of nice football that we have for us. And I can tell you right now that Martin Odegaard is the final change on for Arsenal. So there is the final change. Odegaard is on. Bukayo Saka is the player to come off. That's a surprise, I'd say. And Bernardo Silva looks like he's coming on for Manchester City. Kevin De Bruyne departs us. So Bernardo Silva is on. Kevin De Bruyne is on. That's 4 changes for Manchester City. 5 for Arsenal. We're getting towards the business end of this game with 15 minutes to go. Well, let me go ahead and just let you know about some of the other games that we're going to bring you here on the Commentary Hub. Of course, Saturday, Manchester United versus Reading. We'll bring you that game here. So make sure you're following at Commentary Live 1 on Twitter for updated with that. Sunday, we've got Brighton versus Liverpool. A rematch of the game in which Brighton won 3-0. Wrexham versus Sheffield United in the big upset, and Nicholas will be on comms for that day. Then join us Monday for Derby versus West Ham, and a brand new young lady called Holly to join us on the Commentary Hub as we bring you our absolutely world-class FA Cup coverage. Kicking us off this Friday, and we're kicking us off with a game which has been threatening to boil over, but it has been so far scored by an excellent goal by Nathan Ake here.
It's goal worthy of winning any cup tie. I'll say that. It was an absolutely beautiful finish.
Well, Grealish is under pressure at the moment, and certainly I agree with you with that one. That was a lovely bit of football there from Ake, who's won the throw-in halfway inside the Manchester City half, and City not in a hurry to really charge the ball out or charge to keep possession. They know they can slow the game down, and it's known as Arsenal. They've got to put the pressure on, and have got to try and find a way through. It's a case of can they do so, though? That's going to be that one. This is a loose in the area. There's the header back down. Ake heads it away. And Jack Grealish just piping in with a little bit of words. Bless him, Mr. Jack Grealish. But gone from Aston Villa's player of the season to certainly struggling to find his feet under that high price tag and the tactical nuances. You've certainly seen it with the likes of Gabriel Jesus, who's gone to Arsenal and thrived on the fact that he's not so tactically constrained. You wonder if Jack Grealish is going to be sort of in that similar ilk. This is Ortega for Manchester City to clear it away.
It's almost possible, isn't it, with Grealish? He's obviously well away where he was at Villa, but he seems to be struggling at City right now. But I think the psychological pressure that players face when they're sold for a large price tag doesn't help either, really.
Well, Bernardo Silva is looking set. There was a foul just caught. Seems to be shaking it off. And it looks to be at the moment that that there's been a few more fouls and the subs and players we know has just broken up. 13 minutes to go. It's Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0. FA Cup 4th round. Last time Manchester City won an FA Cup tie against Arsenal, it was 1904. And the concept of the Great War hadn't been invented since. Wayne 11 says hi on the channel as the ball comes floating into the area. And it's beaten everybody and only as far as Julian Alvarez from Manchester City. And there goes Turner punching it away again and doing another good job. Certainly look competent at the moment. Substance a long time. Welcome back to the channel. This is Ikuchento. Gabriel. Martinelli. and it's been lost at the moment. Manchester City can move the ball back forward. Gabriel, now Cole Walker for City. Now back to Gabriel, to Laporte, as one should say. Here is Laporte. Nathan Ake at the moment. Little touch inside, and it's come back to Laporte again. Manchester City comfortable on the ball, not wanting to give it away or lose it or to do anything rash with it. Back to Ortega. Also on Arsenal, they've got to put the pressure on and try and find a way through. It's a case of can they do so, though. That's going to be the big challenge. And it's whether it is possible. Let's not forget around that. Here is the ball out wide. Zicacento loses it. It's gone out. Kyle Walker will line over for the throw. It's not going to take his time. Certainly not. And it's Kyle Walker that will take the throw and waste a few more seconds in that process. There is a demanding cry that has been made, but it's gone back to Ankajani. Now Rodri for Manchester City, up and pressured by Odegaard. Out wide to Grealish, whose wonderful assist set up Nathan Ake to get the opening goal of this game. Of course, Grealish scored in the Manchester derby. This is Rodri. Crossfield ball over the top, which got too much on it. Kyle Walker won't reach that, but it's gone back into the feet of a blue player. Ankajani, Pultini says, no, let's play on. So Manchester City do play on. Here is Laporte on his left foot. And no surprises, back to Ortega at the moment. And Nketiah, who's run his legs off today, but struggled to see a lot of the ball. Referee is unmoved, and after that little collision, it looked to be between Saliba and Haaland. And now it's played away, out wide. And it will continue to go out wide. Crossfield by Saliba. Looking for the ball over the top. Didn't quite work out in the end. But it was a good bit of play. Ortega taking his time. Coming up to the final 10 minutes of the contest. And Manchester City just seem to be in complete control at the moment.
Yeah, they're keeping possession. They're basically doing what they normally do. They'll keep possession. They'll control and game manage. They don't. You don't ever see them really wasting time. They don't need to. They just keep possession of the ball and make it very difficult for other teams to get the ball back off them.
Yeah, well, it's on Manchester City to control the game. It's on Arsenal to affect that change. And we're in the final 10 minutes of this contest. Not sure what time on we should get, but anywhere around about the 3-4 minute mark will probably be expected today. Rodri trying to find Haaland in space. He's got options wide of him. This is Grealish. Grealish, lovely little touch by him to shimmy past 1, 2, 3 Arsenal players. Past Lacano, who's opened up on the right wing at the moment. Certainly grown into the match at the moment. And we definitely want to hear your player of the match. So let us know your player of the match in this game. Go ahead and stick it into the chats that's out there, whether you're listening to us and watching us, as I should say, on Trevor Sports or listening to us on Commentary Live or JSB Sports. Alvarez to go for goal again, and he hits it, and Turner grabs it, but it was Alvarez's strike that beat Turner, that hit the post, that started off the key moments, but it's City that are controlling the game since the mark, and certainly Arsenal themselves haven't looked the same since Thomas Partey has left the pitch.
I totally agree with that. I was very surprised to see him get taken off at all. It's and they haven't looked as compact. They haven't looked as stable. I'm not sure that was a good decision by Mikel Arteta, if I'm being honest.
Well, decisions you and as a manager you have to live or die with. This is Lacano looking out wide to Vieira, gets it under control, up against Ake. Arsenal now just starting to put a bit of pressure, and it was continued pressure on the Manchester United goal that found the winning goal. They've got a little less time to do it, but can they put on some sustained pressure and find an equaliser? Otherwise, they're departing today from the FA Cup, and Manchester City will move on to the 5th round. This is Lacano. Now Martinelli. Martinelli looking for Nketiah. Headed away by Laporte. Gundogan. Under pressure. Ankajani. There's Odegaard running back. Ankajani's forced to clear it. And he does indeed. But it sadly goes out. Arsenal will have a throw with 8 minutes to go. And Arteta is patrolling that technical area. He knows that his side have not got long to do before they can find a route back into this contest at the moment. This is Gabriel, left-footed, brings it away. Centre half over the halfway line just a little drop of the shoulders and is able to get past Haaland. Goes out wide at the moment to Alexander Zicocento. Little touch. The way to move the ball right away along the halfway line at the moment. Arsenal needed to go further forward than this. Lacano trying to put some pressure up to Vieira, up against Nathan Ake, the goal scorer, and at the moment, the match-winning goal scorer, if things stay as they are. This is Saliba. Now it is a pass to Odegaard. Martin Odegaard for Arsenal. Just a little heavy touch, but he's done well to recover. Vieira. Tomiyasu. Odegaard. Good bit of spell possession at the moment for Arsenal, but they need something of quality at the end of it. This might be the opportunity to run. It's loaded over the top at the moment. Martinelli tried to put it in. It was well read by Cole Walker. And the referee at the moment, well, what's he said here? I think he said corner in the end as Granit Xhaka charges over. That's good covering defending there by Cole Walker.
Yeah, absolutely. He went across there, got on the end of that to make sure that it went behind for a corner. Good and alert piece of defending by the England international there.
Well, corner set up. And we've not had many corners in this game, to be fair. But they're starting to mount up as Manchester City defend at the moment. Corner to be swung in right-footed. Arsenal have 5 players in the edge of the area. Referee Portini's come over to have a little word with Xhaka. Looks like he's been well marshalled by Cole Walker. Erling Haaland is back to defend for Manchester City. Tomiyasu is in the area. Saliba, Gabriel is forward. Nketiah is just floating right behind that band of brothers right on the edge of the area. Jack Grealish is standing in a defensive position. The cross comes in. It's headed away at the moment. First time. Back again. Chance to put the ball back in across goal, you wonder. And it was a good little run by Martinelli. It's been stopped by Ortega. It's another corner. Arsenal are ramping up the pressure as we get to a conclusion of this game.
Oh, yeah, that was a good run. And I was really surprised that nobody really challenged him there. Maybe he just ran out of real estate, took it on a bit too far.
Well, the corner was taken quickly. It's been cleared out. We are coming up to the 85th minute of this match. Alexander Zicocento for Arsenal to take the throw. Short to Martinelli. Little touch. Zicocento. And again, trying to win a corner. It's only a throw. It's good defending, has to be said, from Bernardo Silva. Now it is played into a throw into space. Cole Walker takes no chances, finds Rosed. Does go out. It'll be a throw, and Lacano will take the throw. Saliba is back on the edge of the area. It's back to Lacano. Lukongo there. This is Saliba. Now back to Sambi Lacano. Touch. Good touch, it has to be said there, by Xhaka. And again, Martinelli bursting forwards. Xhaka. Zicocento. Arsenal looking more confident on the ball in these last few moments, but what they need to do is to be starting to test Stefan Ortega a lot more. Arsenal's FA Cup run looks like it's hanging by a thread at the moment. Of course, one of these sides is 5 points ahead of the other. You wouldn't know that at the moment because the side that's behind is ahead. Of course, Arsenal have to play Manchester City twice in the Premier League yet. So is this a shade of things to come, or with some changes will that be? Paul, we'll come to you in a second, but I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about it. I want to know your player of the match. Give yourself a couple of minutes until we go out of play. Long ball with Nketiah. Nketiah looked to flick it back on to Odegaard. Odegaard has got it at the moment. It's Xhaka. Clever little ball. Diving across there. It is Ortega. There was a chance. Martinelli was charging forwards. Good bit of work at the moment. And in this exchange here, we can see the clever little pass. It wouldn't have counted. It was offside, sadly. Paul, I want to know from you, who's your player of the match this evening?
Well, it's a bit of a cliche normally to give it to the goal scorer, but I think Nathan Ake, not just the goal, I think he's played very well, marshalling Bukayo Saka, and I think he's done very, very well in that left-back position today. He's got forward, he's created chances. So I'm giving the player of the match today to Manchester City's number 6, Nathan Ake.
Well, if you agree with Paul's decision, let us know in the chat. If not, tell us who you think should be the player of the match. This is Martinelli at Cole Walker at the moment, and he's got past him, Martinelli, right inside the area. It's pulled back in the area. Oh, brilliant goalkeeping again there by Stefan Ortega. He's not had much to do today, but he's dived on top of the loose ball. But Martinelli here has had the beating of Cole Walker, pulls it back, and it's a miscontrol in the end from Gundogan. I don't think you can call that a pass back based on how it went. And Bernardo Silva was just caught at the moment by Zicocento, and we're getting towards the business end of this game. 2 minutes left, and we'll wait for time added on. But Manchester City are in control, but certainly finding at the moment that down that far side, that left flank, Martinelli's starting to cause them problems. Ortega's ball over the top. There goes Haaland. Grealish. And referee plays the advantage, a good advantage to play. Rodri for Manchester City at the moment. Grealish is back up, which is good to see. Bernardo Silva for Manchester City. Cole Walker. And as we approach 90 seconds of the 90 to go, you certainly expect that Manchester City will be controlling and keeping possession and keeping things as calm and as cozy as possible. But Arsenal have had their moments in this game. It's been a game of some good moments, but it's a game which is not all over yet. Has been the case in some of the cup games that we've done. We certainly can see something happen in the next 90 seconds plus time added on. Haaland's competing there against Gabriel. This is Saliba. Little pass inside. Nice touch. And Xhaka here. That's a good bit of defending. It's ended up back at Gabriel. The ball is in the Arsenal half. And it's about 70 yards in the wrong direction as far as Arsenal are concerned at the moment. This is Lukono. And Nketiah has come all the way forward over the halfway line, trying to burst forward at the moment. Now Manchester City can break at the moment. This is Alvarez out wide at the moment for City to break in. Haaland bursting forward, Grealish bursting forward, Gundogan bursting forward. Bernardo Silva plays it casually to Rodri. Now it's Laporte, Nathan Ake, who is the Commentary Hub's player of the match this evening. Grealish. Cool, collected, calm pass back to Laporte. Under pressure at the moment from Odegaard, that's urging his side forward and urging them to put the pressure on. Last 20 seconds of the 90 minutes to go, and we'll find out how much time will be added on for stoppages in this contest. But so far, as things stand, Manchester City will be the first name in the hat for the 5th round of the FA Cup, and Arsenal will just have the Premier League to concentrate on. But with a 5-point lead, it's something they definitely want to continue to concentrate on. 4 minutes to time added on. Add it, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever you're doing, don't go anywhere. We are set for a thrilling finale in this contest. It is Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0. We're getting to the final few moments of this game. But it's Manchester City that have the ball, have it under full control at the moment. And Kajani to Gundogan. Haaland is still wanted as an option, but again, it's another big game that he's been kept quiet. Has his route to goal been stopped at the moment with some of these big sides? We played 30 seconds of 4 minutes of time added on. Gundogan was caught by Odegaard. Paul Tierney waves the ball over quickly. This is Julian Alvarez, number 19. Grealish. He's run his socks off here over on this left flank on the near side. Up against Tomiyasu. Keeps possession to Nathan Ake. Now it's back to Emery Laporte, that replaced John Stones 2 minutes before half-time after John Stones went off holding his hamstring. Ortega, it's not had much to do in terms of quality saves, but when he has dived on chances in the box, has been fantastic. Walker was caught there by Zicocento, and Zicocento is booked, and understandably so, very much on the lines of a technical foul in that final few moments. We've got 2 and a bit minutes to go. Do you see Arsenal getting an equaliser here, Paul?
I think it's unlikely. I think Manchester City are managing the game really, really well now, keeping possession, and I don't see a way back for Arsenal. Of course, you never say never, but I don't see a way back for them now.
Well, to let you know, Paul, that the Emirates Player of the Match, as voted for by the footballing experts, also picked Nathan Ake for his wonderful goal. So it just lets you know that our pundit here does know a thing or two about the beautiful game.
Thanks.
Right, we've got 2 minutes left. Manchester City have got it with Ilkay Gundogan. A free kick just outside the centre circle over on the far side, about 45 yards or so away from goal. Just Haaland and Alvarez ahead of him. Ake is forwards, but only by a few yards, as is Rodri. And Gundogan goes and looks for the far post. This is Bernardo Silva. He wasn't going to move from here, one suspects. Going to try and win a corner. He's not going to get any. There's Martinelli. looking to play it away. Alvarez is back there. Did that go out? Referee says no. City keep going. Bernardo Silva looks to try and march on at the moment. Julian Alvarez, does he fancy a goal to seal this, or will he try and keep possession at the moment in the last few minutes? Well, the ball has been played out wide to Cole Walker, and it has gone out for an Arsenal throw-in. Cole Walker cannot believe that, mind you. He seems to think that the final touch was off an Arsenal player, but that's not to be. But City continue with the pressure and a goal kick required. So an opportunity to throw everybody forward and to go for this. The final minute of the match. Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0 at the Etihad here. And confirmation Ilkay Gundogan has been booked for Manchester City from that, the skipper. But it's not the case. Final minute to go. Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0, FA Cup, 4th round. A place in the 5th round is at stake. Arsenal looking to force a replay as things stand at the moment. Vieira and referee Portini has pulled play back for a foul there on Ketia on the player of the match, Nathan Ake. Portini giving us his best Paul Conchesti impression with that shaven head. And
I think he's done okay today as Paul Tierney, by the way. I think I think he's refereed the match quite well today.
Well, there's always the case in a game. You need to have referee to have a good performance to go ahead and allow a game to flow. And I agree with you there. I think the referee has had a very good game and the way things have gone. And Pep at the moment knows he just might be able to show that the master may have a little bit more over the apprentice as this goes on. But referee Portini, speaking of which, has given the throw-in in favour of Arsenal. We've played the 4 minutes of time added on. It's now or never. I'm looking at the referee to see if he does have a look at his watch at the moment. This is Saliba. It's got to go long. It does go long. It doesn't go long very effectively. This is Ankajani, and he plays it back to Laporte into space. Lucano diving in. Bernardo Silva for Manchester City. Clever little touch. And he gets past Zicocento, but the ball has gone out for a throw-in. And there's real frustration on Zicocento's face. I wonder if he wonders if that's it for the final few moments of this match. Point to make in this game spotted by our match officials. VAR has not got involved in this match so far. It did a quick check for Nathan Ake's goal, and that was it. Maybe that's why the game has felt like it's flowed so much. No controversy by our video assistant referees at the moment.
It's always better when they're quiet, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, always is. Always. I'd like them to be quiet a lot, but that's a personal opinion. And there's a long ball over the top. And there it goes. That is the final whistle in this contest. Manchester City have beaten Arsenal in the 4th round of the FA Cup and move on to the 5th round. Could that be a blessing in disguise, you wonder, for Arsenal? They bow out of the competition. In the end, Manchester City, well, they just had a little bit of quality. The quality was from Jack Grealish to play in Nathan Ake. It finished quite fantastic, it has to be said. It was a game that was a very interesting battle. It's been settled by a single goal. Full time in the FA Cup 4th round tie here is Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0.
Thanks, Trevor. Arsenal were Manchester City's bogey team in the FA Cup for so long. Well, no more. The Sky Blues have now made their way into the 5th round to leaving Arsenal to concentrate, as you would have put it, on the Premier League. And that goal by Nathan Ake, certainly one for the ages. And Mike, what was your take on it?
Yeah, from an Arsenal standpoint, you can't be disappointed with performance. I think, you look at it, we made plenty of changes. We had a back line there that hadn't really played many minutes this season. And dealt with Erling Haaland really, really well. And, Nathan Ake pops up with what turned out to be a brilliant goal and a goal to win the game. But on another day, I think that that could have gone either way, really, because Arsenal had their moments. Gabriel Martinelli was lively when he came on. They played a few chances for Arsenal. There was that one where if Eddie Nketiah gets on the end of it, superb defending stops that from, probably making it 1-1. And yeah, you have to look on that. And, Arsenal have shown that they're more than capable of matching this Manchester City side. Yes, fair enough, they've gone through on the night and, hats off them, fair play to them. They'll probably go, all the way almost in this competition if they go on and win it. with the quality that they've got. But from an Arsenal standpoint, when me and a lot of fans saw that lineup, especially with the back sort of 4 or 5, we were really fearing the worst. And yeah, I think the overriding emotion that comes from that is pride, to be fair, in the performance, and that we've given Manchester City a really good game, and on another day could have easily got a result.
Yes, absolutely. And what's your take on it, Russ?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Mark said. Arsenal fans, I know you're one of them, but anyone out there listening to any of the channels this evening, like Mark said, we've just got to take pride out of that. I was looking at the team at the start when I saw the teams come out, and we were speaking off air briefly before the game started as well, Nicholas, regarding the Arsenal side. And you look at that back line: Tomiyasu, Holding, Gabriel, Tienin. They've not really played much together. You look at Turner as well; he's not really played much in that back line. Only in that back line, I would say, in that back 5 is Gabriel, who has started in the Premier League this season. Others have come on and be part players. Tini may have started in a couple of games here and there, but not many of the Premier League games this season for Arsenal. And also give a good account of themselves. It was a brilliant block from Laporte to stop Nketiah from equalising. I think if Arsenal got that equaliser shortly after, I think it would have probably been a different game to close it out and a bit more tight to finish. Man City just played it to their strengths to when they finished. And I'm just looking at a couple of stats here as well. And overall, there were 8 attempts for Man City in the game, 5 for Arsenal, and there were 3 on target for Man City out of their 8. They scored 1 of them. Arsenal had 2 of their 5 on target, 2 off target, 1 block shot. Man City had 1 block shot and 4 off target. But just want to ask Mike a quick question. When you just heard them stats there, Mike, if you were just looking at that, we are seeing the scoreline. So you just come in, just not seeing the score, just had a look at the stats. You'd have probably thought the game would have gone to a replay, looking at the stats and how many chances both teams had on goal, with Man City just edging it by 1 shot on goal overall, but 8 attempts to 5 seems like to be a very close game. Mike, would you agree with that? And also, I just want to ask your opinion on and obviously we gave it to Nathan Ake, the player of the match. Well, Paul Dave gave Nathan Ake player of the match tonight. On the Arsenal side, Mike, other than the players that went off at half time in Holding and Partey, after the players that played majority of the game or played a bit longer than the first half, would you say Arsenal's man of the match was tonight, Mike? And would you agree with me assessment that if people looked at that, you'd have probably thought, with the stats, I mean, it would have been would have had a replay in this tie?
Potentially. Arsenal had moments, as we've already touched on, and Manchester City had moments as well. Obviously, there was the one from Kevin De Bruyne in the first half that just went narrowly wide of Matt Turner's goal. They had a few moments, but Erling Haaland was kept very, very quiet in that game, and that's going to stand Arsenal in good stead, knowing that they can deal with him. With the league game coming up in about 2.5 weeks' time at the Emirates, which obviously will be a different occasion. Arsenal won't rest any of the players or change any of the players in that game. So you'll see a different Arsenal team there than what you've seen tonight. But in regards to the player of the match, I think Nathan Ake had a superb game. I think he done very, very well keeping Saka out of the game, keeping him quiet, and obviously then popping up down the other end with a winning goal as well. So I think Nathan Ake is a good shout. And then obviously from an Arsenal standpoint, it's difficult really because I thought there was a few players that had good games. I thought Leandro Trossard was superb. I think he's shown, this obviously being his first start for Arsenal, he's shown plenty of bright sparks and shown that he can be a top class player and a player that can really, potentially make a difference in Arsenal's title challenge or run towards the title. I thought Matt Turner in goal was pretty solid. I don't really think he did anything wrong. And then, there's a couple of players that stood out. Thought Tomiyasu did well enough. I thought, Granit Xhaka did well as he has done for most of the season. There's a few players there, but I think Nathan Ake's a fair shout. And just watching the goal here now, I do think, I'm not too sure who it is. It might have been Granit Xhaka. Actually, just now that I've just praised him a little bit, I think for the original shot that comes back off the post, I think he's got to close him down and be quicker onto him there. And then the same with the actual goal that turns into being the winner as well. I think potentially William Saliba could potentially do a little bit better there as well. But yeah, overall, I think it's a decent performance from Arsenal. And yeah, as I said on another day, could have easily got a result in that one. But yeah, Manchester City, just looking here, there's a few moments there where the midfield were kind of left quite open. And that's something that Arsenal have really got to look back on and watch when it comes to the game at the Emirates in a few weeks. And I'm sure it'd be very different. And I do agree with something that was mentioned earlier on as well regarding Arsenal's performance. And I do think it dipped after Thomas Partey came off, and with the injuries that Arsenal have to Mohamed El-Neni and Smith Rowe, hopefully that's not an injury to Thomas Partey on that standpoint as well. Just to mention that briefly too.
Yes, indeed. And for Arsenal, as I mentioned, they can now concentrate on defending the Premier League. We're just about out of time, but before we go, it's time to mention the other games coming up this weekend on the FA Cup. As Trevor mentioned in the second half, it's Manchester United against Reading. Join myself and Russ Vernon for that one. Luke Turton will be presenting. And then on Sunday, we have two games. Brighton and Hove Albion against Liverpool with JB and Paul doing the commentary, with Russ hosting. And I'm on my own for Wrexham against Sheffield United. And on the Monday, it's Derby County against West Ham United with Mike and with Mike in the commentary seat, and Holly Wright's joining him on her debut. Russ Vernon will be presenting that one. So great games to look forward to over the weekend. And so Manchester City. Manchester City continue their run in the FA Cup, and will they take it through to the semi-final and beyond, as they have been doing since 2016? Who knows? Who knows? Join us again tomorrow for Manchester United against Reading. Can't wait. Good night.